p.m. and he has made no show as yet.
All right, and without wasting time, we'll get straight to our debate. Ladies and gentlemen, just a quick reminder of our rules. We'll exercise maximum decorum. We'll also exercise maximum time management this afternoon. And every question posed to you will require an answer, and that answer should be structured within 3 minutes. We'll also have our debate structured in 3 segments. The last hour of the show will be dedicated to candidates, supporters who are in this room asking questions to particular candidates. And those questions must be directed to particular candidates. And again, we shall make sure and will enforce strict decorum when answering those questions as well.
And for our social media audience, for those who are watching us online and on air, you will use the hashtag UGVotes2021. This is the UG Votes 2021 debate, and today's focus is on Nakawa West constituency. And without wasting any more time, we will be speaking to our candidates who are on their podiums right now. And I will start off with you, Mr. Isabide Zakaria, who is an independent candidate. The viewers and your electorate would like to know, who are you and why should it be you for Nakawa West?
I thank you so much. My name is Isabide Zakaria. I am a professional teacher. I am a real estate manager. I am in this race of Nakawa West constituency, a place that I have lived in for the last 27 years. As someone who brings on board the needs and challenges of the community. But before I go on, allow me first of all to send my sympathies to Mr. Joro Senyonyi for the torture that this government meted on him. Allow me to send my condolences to my mother, Margaret Ziwa, for the loss of my grandmother, and also send condolences to the entire Muslim community for the loss of Sheikh Mzata. Isabide Zakaria is a candidate presenting to the constituents of Nakawa West an authentic, transformation, value-based leadership that is servant in nature. My leadership will be based on providing services to the community that I've seen suffering for the last years that I've spent in that area, in areas of education, in areas of health, and in areas of employment, especially among the youth. I want to bring to my community a sense of belonging and ownership, especially to those who are living in the slum areas, and their day-to-day lives depend on how the mode of the government and the stakeholders prefer to treat them. Those people deserve better than what they have. I want to bring clean water to the biggest population of this community. It is embarrassing that Nakawa West constituency can be the gateway of Kampala, because all good things that come to our economy in the CDB fly via Nakawa West constituency. But our people don't have the facilities that we want them to have. I want to challenge the current situation of education, because our education sector in that constituency is terrible. 12 primary schools without any getting a first grade in the last 2 years. It's embarrassing. 2 secondary schools in that community, of which those that are private, our people who are the urban poor cannot afford to take their kids there.
We'll have our answers to strictly 3 minutes. Thank you, sir. Let's move to Mr. Kenneth Paul Kakande. What is your leadership credentials, sir, in 3 minutes?
Thank you very much. My name is Kakande Kenneth Paul. I'm standing for Member of Parliament Nakawa West. I was born in Nakawa. I went to Naguru Infant School, St. Jude Primary School in Naguru, Chambogo College School in Nakawa, in Chambogo, Makerere University. I'm a lawyer and an advocate. I work for Alaka and Company Advocates. The role of a member of parliament is to make laws. And as an advocate, that is my specialty. I'm going to parliament to make laws which will favor the people of Uganda and especially the people of Nakawa. I know also another role for the member of parliament is appropriation, to make sure that we share the national cake as the people of Nakawa. And I'll make sure that the people of Nakawa receive part of the national cake. Another major role for the Member of Parliament is monitoring government projects. That I will do effectively. And I know as a Member of Parliament, my role will to give effective representation of the people of Nakawa. Many people have been crying in Nakawa wherever I go, that when we elect you, you don't come back to us. We spend 5 years without seeing you. Effective representation means sitting together with the people of the community, listening to them, and offering solutions for the problems that affect our community. I will be a listener to the people of Nakawa, and I will listen and take ideas as to how we can develop our community. Secondly, Nakawa is cosmopolitan. We have people of all nationalities, of all religious affiliation and political affiliation. I, as a uniter, believe that I will bring together people without discrimination of all nationalities, of all political affiliations, and of all religious affiliations, so that we can move together as a unit without discrimination. My symbol is a bow. A bow is a sign of unity. I want to bring unity to the people of Nakawa and happiness, so that I bring the real change that is desired in our community to move forward as a unit, as a people, so that everybody can enjoy good leadership that is desired in Nakawa Division, Nakawa West constituency.
All right, thank you, sir. And you used up your time pretty well. I will move on to Margaret Nantongo Ziwa. Why should it be you, and who are you to your electorate?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Margaret Nantongo Ziwa, and I'm a resident of Nakawa West. I reside in Buyinja Zone in Nagulutu Parish. I'm privileged that I've lived in Nakawa almost all my adulthood, and I know what it takes to be the Member of Parliament for Nakawa. First and foremost, I'm an educationist, I'm a legislator, and I would say that I'm a professional economist. And I've lived in the service of the people of Uganda, way from Resistance Council at the RC1 up to the Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly. I've served diligently with a lot of commitment to my people. I was a Member of Parliament woman, Kampala. That's where I derived the name of Mama Nigina after serving and making sure that I make all the efforts to empower the women to be able to generate themselves into useful citizens. I can also add that throughout my service, I've been able to identify some of the key challenging aspects within our society. And for instance, within Nakawa, I'm privileged to say some of those which are very, very challenging have been earmarked by the NRM government, which government I'm going to serve, or I still serve, as the flag bearer for Nakawa. Believe me, as we go through this very important process where the government has, I should say, reassured Ugandans about democracy, about socio-economic transformation, about, I should maybe list all of them, but maybe I would say that under the social economic transformation, we are yet to see that Nakawa is to receive actually better roads. Nakawa is to receive better drainage. Nakawa is to tackle one of the most challenging aspects of youth employment. Under better service delivery, we are yet to see how many of those schools may be mentioned by my colleagues, how many of those people who live in relatively low-income areas can have better services, including water. For instance, Nakawa as an area is a city, and because of that, I am going to strive to make sure that all the services which should be entitled to. Thank you. I'll continue from there.
Mr. Joel Senyonyi, sir, what makes you qualified to be a Member of Parliament in 3 minutes?
Article 79 of our country's constitution, as amended, provides for the 4 cardinal roles of a member of parliament: legislation, representation, budgetary allocation, and then government oversight. I'll break down each of them in a bit. Legislation, members of parliament are expected to pass laws for the good governance of our people. And that's important. It bothers me a great deal that many times our members of parliament pass laws in a manner so wanton that oppress the people as opposed to ameliorating them. I'll give you an example. The very first time I participated in a protest, a peaceful protest by the way, was when parliament introduced OTT. Honorable Chagulanyi and several other comrades said, wait a minute, this is very problematic. OTT as a tax is targeting the lowest of ordinary people. They're the ones that use mobile money, send 10,000 shillings to their grandmother in the village to access healthcare. You know, young people using social media and all of that. So we oppose this tax, saying, no, our legislators, this is not one of those laws that are meant to be for the good governance of our people. So we protested peacefully, and lots of other things happened, exerted a bit of pressure, they listened it. But something that bothered me a great deal, after these legislators passed that OTT and said, ordinary poor people, pay for yourselves OTT, they passed a budget for the ordinary person to pay for them OTT as well. I thought, honestly, this is a bunch of hypocrites, with all due respect, because you're targeting the ordinary person. We said the tax is bad. They didn't agree, but they too knew that the tax was problematic. That's why they didn't want to pay it. They wanted the taxpayer to pay for themselves and then after pay for the MPs. I found that very odd. We need members of parliament in that house that are going to pass laws for the good of the ordinary people. Representation. As MP for Nakawa West, I need to look at all the 13 parishes of Nakawa West: Bukoto 1, Bukoto 2, Chanja, Naguru 1, Naguru 2, Chiwatule, Banda, UPK, Upper Estate, Nabisunsa, and look at the uniqueness of each one of them, but also look at the general issues that are happening therein and be a voice for these people. When you go to Naguru, both Naguru 1 and 2, you'll go down, you'll go to Kasenke. Many of these people are having their land being grabbed. These are poor people that have lived on this land for quite a bit of time. That land belongs to them, even by law. But powerful, rich people come and grab them. Where is the voice for these people? The same is happening to Banda. Many people are having their land grabbed by the rich and powerful. They need a voice. They need somebody to represent them and say, no, this should not happen. Budgetary allocation. That as MP for Nakawa West, I get to focus.
I'm afraid your time is up, sir. We have since received Mr. Tebisura Emmanuel Serumaga from the Democratic Party. If you're here, kindly
take to the podium.
Kindly take to the podium if you're in the building already.
All right.
Okay, it's not yet here. 21 minutes into the debate. Parliament is a house that is run on time. I think that it's important he pays attention to that.
All right, and to you, Mr. Wilberforce Chambade, representing or standing on the ticket for the Forum for Democratic Change, why should the people of Nakawa West trust you of all the 14 candidates standing vying for this seat?
Thank you very much. I want to add my voice to pass on my condolences to our colleague, Mrs. Margaret, and also Mr. Senyonyi, also, for what he went through after being beaten by the autocratic regime. I'm Chambade Wilberforce, and I'm a resident in Sempagala zone in Bukoto 2, where I've been. I have my permanent establishment where I've stayed for since 1997. So I'm not a visitor in the constituency. I hold a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Statistics of Makerere University. I have a postgraduate diploma in Income Tax Administration from Uganda Management Institute, and also a postgraduate diploma in Finance Management from Uganda Management Institute. Of course, I have so many other papers, which I may not go through, but I have served in various capacities in the party. I was the Secretary for Investment and Economic Affairs, I'm currently the Deputy Treasurer General of FDC. And in 2016, I served as the Executive Director of the Campaign Bureau of Dr. Chiza Besigye, stroke FDC Campaign Bureau. I also represented the FDC in organizing the presidential debate. I pray that we have it again this year. And then we see. Now, as a member of parliament, the cardinal roles of a member of parliament include, they are normally categorized in 5. One is one of legislation, the debating and making of laws. 2, the budget approval and appropriation. Then the oversight role and representing the constituents. And also finally, the consultative role in the constituency. Where I want to put my most emphasis is the last one, the consultation in the constituency. You will realize that most of the members of parliament go to parliament to present their own views because they don't consult the electorate. This is the difference I want to create in our politics, where a member of parliament actually represents the constituents. You can never get their views unless you consult them. So we've had many members of parliament just going there to debate their own issues. Now, I would like to promote a culture of...
I'm afraid your time is up, sir. Can we now welcome Mr. Tebisra Emmanuel Serumaga to the stage, sir? You're late to the debate, therefore you've missed your first opportunity to speak about your CV, but kindly take to the stage. We'll move straight to segment 1 of our debate this afternoon, and we'll be focusing on the legislative agenda of political parties. The multi-party democracy is hinged on the effectiveness of parties and their ability to work together through negotiation, persuasion, or even the tyranny of numbers. Mr. Kenneth Paul Kakande, in less than 12 months, you have been to 2 political parties, the Democratic Party, the National Unity Platform, and now you are an independent candidate. Which legislative agenda will you pursue in Parliament, and who will be your allies when elected, starting now in 3 minutes?
The legislative agenda I will pursue in Parliament will be the wishes and the will of the people of Nakawa. I'll be representing in Parliament. I'll be listening to them, consulting them, because the challenges the people are going through in Nakawa are unique from people from other areas. So as a member of Parliament, my primary objective will be to consult the people of Nakawa, because I'll be representing them. What are your problems? And in pushing this agenda, I will not look at the people of Nakawa as a political party or as people belonging to a particular religious affiliation. I'll look at the people in their diversity, because I know Nakawa is cosmopolitan. Nakawa is a sample state of the whole of Uganda. There are people of different political parties in Nakawa. DP, UPC, CP, NUP, name them, they are in Nakawa. And when you go to religion, all of them are there. And when you go to nationalities, all of them, north, east, west, they are there. Well, now when it comes to representing the people, I'm not going to look at them as belonging to only a particular political party. What will come first are their problems. I'll sit with them, consult them, and listen to them. Then that is what I'm going to go to fight for in Parliament. Advance the agenda of the people of Nakawa, because those are the people I'm going to represent. Sir.
All right, you have about 2 minutes spared. Let me ask, the legislative role works through the principle of the tyranny of numbers. And as an independent member of Parliament, you're likely to find yourself either in an awkward position or having to ally with people in Parliament. How will you push those good things that you're talking about?
If you look at our Parliament, for example, the last Parliament, the independents were the second largest number of members of Parliament. That is number one. Number two, I believe when I go to Parliament, Parliament is a body of people representing the people. What matters is the agenda that you are pushing. Is it fair? Is it just? It's not about political parties. Like there is one leader who said that, for me, I don't care about who goes to parliament as long as he wakes up and raises his hand. That's not what I believe in. I believe that when you go to parliament and you are pushing a particular pro-people agenda, what matters is convincing the people that, for example, we need to build schools, we need to raise salaries of teachers. That has no political color. Everybody wants to receive good education and qualitative education. That has no color. That has no nationality. That has no political party. I don't think there are people in Uganda who do not want our education to go to another level, or our healthcare services to go to another level. If I push the agenda of healthcare services to take them to another level, I'll be pushing the agenda of the people of Nakawa. And I'll be listening to them before I go to parliament.
Thank you very much, sir. To you, Mr. Joel Sanyonyi, you stand on a ticket of a party that is less than a year old, so to say, in the country. What is the agenda in your constituency that they will be pushing if you are given the mandate?
It's actually amazing and humbling that in about 4 months, as you say, very young party, in as far as introduction to the general public is concerned, it's gained this traction. It's gotten acceptance from the people of Uganda. We thank God that we've been able to make such mileage. I'll tether that.
Sorry, it's not our tradition to interrupt, but would we want to do a fact check on that? Is the party 4 months old?
Come again?
Is the party really 4 months old?
If you listen to me carefully, my brother, I said in as far as introduction to the general public is concerned. The party obviously was formed about 16 years ago, but we, the current leaders, introduced it to the general public about 4 months.
Again, if you can fact check, what do you mean by introduce to the public? Because it was registered duly by the Electoral Commission and was carrying out functions of a duly registered political party. Just for fact check, sir.
Yeah, I hope you'll, by the way, give me a bit more time.
You will.
Yes, that's just a fact check.
So I'll repeat, at the risk of repeating myself, I said, in as far as we, the new leadership, introducing it to the public. It got new leadership about 4 months ago. Like I'm saying, it's been around for 16 years, but many of you did not know about it, I'm very sure of that. But 4 months ago, it got new leadership and we introduced it to the public. And we thank God that it's been able to gain the traction that it has gained.
All right, take away your 3 minutes, sir. Starting now.
So I was saying, I'll tether the answer to that as I complete what I was breaking down in the first 3 minutes. The cardinal roles of an MP. I talked about legislation. I talked about representation. Things that I want to clearly keep pressing. Number 3 is the budgetary allocation, which is the role of a member of parliament. That as an MP, you put it back for your constituency, Nakawa West in this case, to say, you know what? I know the issues in Nakawa West. I know the incomplete roads. There's roads in Nakawa West that have been built for the last decades. You know, they never finish them. That I get to say, you know what, as a legislator for this constituency, no, money should be allocated to this. You know, the budgetary allocation process, it's actually a bargaining process. It's a lobbying process. That any serious MP gets to say, you know what, for my constituency, I would like to see this done. Then the others and all of that. So you might not get all that you bargained for, but you see, if you don't bargain, you get nothing. But at least if you lobby for your constituency, some things might come through. And that's very important. The fourth cardinal role, which I want to pursue, is government oversight. As a legislator, it is my cardinal responsibility to follow through. Government work is actually government delivering as it should be doing. I'll tell you, for example, when you read the annual Auditor General's report, you see plenty of money that absquatulates. So money is allocated from Ministry of Finance. As an example, it's meant to go to youth groups, women groups in Nakawa West. If a legislator does not follow up, what was released as 100 million shillings from Ministry of Finance reaches as 20 million shillings to the youth group, to the women group. That happens every single year. When you read the annual Auditor General's report, he says 100 million shillings was released by Ministry of Finance, but only 20 was accounted for. Where is the 80? The member of parliament, the legislator, did not follow up. My expectation is that I will follow up every step of the way, because you see, once you don't follow up and people will say, yes, we can pursue and chase the corrupt, but the youth there have missed that 80 million shillings to help them in their startup, you know, in the small enterprise. There's many young people in Nakawa West that are starting up little things. Some are doing bakeries, you know, some are doing welding. I met a group of young people that are doing carpentry in Chiwatule yesterday, and it is our responsibility as taxpayers to help those young people, to help the women groups. There's many women groups. When you go to Chanja, when you go to Naguru, you find women that are either sewing, that are rearing chicken and all of that. And many times, the taxpayer aids them, and it's a responsibility of government to do so. But if a legislator does not follow up to make sure this money reaches, it will not.
Thank you, sir. Again, in just a minute, a quick follow-up on especially your ideological grounding. It's on record that you ran for position of Youth Member of Parliament on the ticket of the Opposition Forum for Democratic Change. It's also on record that later you quit politics to go into journalism, and then you came to the National Unity Platform. For the people who want to vote for you, would you want to explain those movements in a minute, sir, starting now?
It's just like asking me that, you see, when you were in kindergarten, you were in Kazinda Memorial School. Well, that's where I was. Along the way, I'm responding to your question, sir. Along the way, in P4, we shifted, I moved to another school altogether, etc., etc. Such is life. And for a young man like myself, who has always been bothered by the political happenings, you know, I became very keen at leadership and politics when I was very young. I was head boy in my primary school, I was head boy in my secondary school. I've always followed the news, and I've always been bothered by the political happenings, and I've always asked myself, how can I make a contribution, however small? And I made that contribution for the 14 years that I was in the media, and I attempted politics at the time. I said, you know what, let me try and get therein and see if I can make a contribution, however small. It did not happen. Here we are again. You don't stop trying, especially when you know that I can make a contribution, however small. You keep pressing on, you keep going. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you very much, sir. And I would like to get back to you, Mr. Kenneth Paul Kakande, in relation to what Joseph did ask Mr. Senyonyi right there. You seem to be saying that you were unfairly treated when it did come to granting of the flag of the National Unity Platform, and you seem to say the National Unity Platform favored Joelis Senyonyi over yourself. Aren't you running a defeatist campaign and sour graping?
Come again? Am I not?
You seem to say that Joel Senyonyi, who was granted the National Unity Platform, which you also sought for, was much favored ahead of you, yet you say you are more experienced than him. And my question to you is, aren't you running a defeatist campaign and sour graping?
No, power belongs to the people. I believe in people power. The people have a final say on who should represent them, especially in this aspect, because we are running for MP. I believe that the people will have a final say on who should represent them. Power belongs to the people, people power.
Since you seem to believe in the ideals of the National Unity Platform, don't you think it would have been much better to support a candidate that has duly been supported by the very party that you belonged to, or do you still even belong to them?
I know where you are taking me. I don't want to open...
I'm not taking you anywhere. I am simply asking a question.
I don't want to open that Pandora box, and I think a lot of water has passed below the bridge, and we're on a campaign trail. The most important thing now is who should represent the people of Nakawa, and that's what my focus is on. I'm not looking at the past, because the past, as the word suggests, is in the past. We are looking at
Mr. Kenneth Paul Kakande, if you can take this.
Yes,
if
sir.
you don't know where you're coming from, certainly it's hard to know where you're going.
I know where I'm coming from.
Let's examine the facts.
Yes.
That you participated in the internal processes in the National Unity Platform.
Yes.
And by the time you went into that process, it means you believed in it. And when the process did not favor you, then you bolted out. I put it to you, sir, that you're a bad loser.
I'm not a bad loser. I raised my concern and nothing came out of it. So I decided to move on. That's all.
Thank you, sir. And the reason I ask that is not for any other, but because this is a multi-party dispensation, and that's the very reason why for the other candidates, we ask what their political party plan is for the constituency in which you're standing. And I'll go straight to you, Margaret Nantongo Ziwa. What is the NRM political party legislative agenda for Nakawa West, to be particular?
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'll take 1 minute to mention my appreciation to fellow Ugandans, to the people of Nakawa West and people of Kampala, upon commiserating with me when I lost my dear mother 2 weeks ago. Thank you very much. I also extend my condolences. Sorry, I didn't want to come in with it immediately because it's still very heavy. Upon the loss of my friend who come from Kawempe in in position of birth. Mukulu Mzata was my friend. At one time, we were honored as children of Kawempe. My condolences to the family and the whole Muslim fraternity. And I come in as an NRM flag bearer. NRM is a very strong party. NRM has a very strong following in Nakawa West. NRM's legislative agenda is very deep. We have a very big manifesto. I'll be able to extract at least about 4 major areas, which I know for sure are very, very required for the people of Nakawa. For instance, I want to mention that the NRM manifesto is geared towards the rehabilitation and reconstruction of the road networks within the city and specifically in Nakawa West. I'm very happy that our manifesto talks about some of our dire roads. For instance, Commercial Road. This runs just opposite Hardware World until what we call near Crestform. This is a very major road, as you will appreciate. In case of traffic from both sides, many roads, many cars will take that side. Of course, I also would mention that the industrial area road, which comes from Crestform through Chambogo to the other side through the valley to Chambogo, has been also included in the NRM manifesto. And I'm very privileged that these are the areas I'm going to put emphasis on to make sure that as we go into the committees in Parliament, the Ministry of Works and Transport should include this. Now, NRM has already proposed them, and I want to ensure that in Parliament they're included. Not only that, it has talked about street lighting, and it has earmarked almost all our roads, right from Spear Motors up to Chanja, right from Molem, we normally call it Molem, but Kabira, up to Chiwatuli, right from Ntinda up to what we normally call the ring road of Banda. And I want to say this is a very important area. It has also talked about provision of clean water. You find that many of our areas, particularly those in the, I should say, low-income areas, the Nagulu go down, the Kasenke, the Mulimira, the Sempagala, most of these areas do not have clean water. The B1, Banda B1, B3, they don't have clean water. Even the little stands which are there are not adequate to make sure that every household can at least have 20 gel cans of 20 liters a day, which is the average requirement. So NRM.
Thank you. Your time is up, Honorable Margaret Nantongo Silva. But a quick follow-up. Reading the leadership history in this city, you will agree with me that your name is plastered everywhere, from the Resistance Council to representing the great people of Kampala in Parliament as their Member of Parliament. He proceeded to the East African Legislative Assembly, rising to the highest position of Speaker, never mind the fact of what happened there and the court resolutions. So what magic stick will you use to achieve these things, if elected this time?
You know for sure that even where I have been and where I've served, I have a track record. And because of that track record, I'm a tested leader. I can tell you that, for instance, even during the Constituent Assembly, I made a record. I was part and parcel of the team which moved what we call the gender chapter, the human rights chapter and the gender chapter in the Constitution. I can tell you that when I became a Member of Parliament, I even was able to be given the opportunity to chair and serve on the Committee of Presidential and Foreign Affairs. My record there is self-explanatory. Some of the biggest projects that are in this country are appended on my name: the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the State House, and many others. When I was again the chair, I was able to move about 5 bills: the Access to Information Bill, the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation bill, the Refugee Bill, among others. And when even I went to the East African community, I was able to make sure that as we went through the stages of integration, we were able to derive as Uganda the optimum of it. For instance, I can tell you the access or the opening of borders under the Common Market Protocol was not easy. We had to do what I would call diplomatic negotiations to make sure that our goods produced locally in Uganda can access all areas of East Africa. And you can see even when we had the COVID incidents or COVID challenge and the borders were closed, you would see that even our own products, the eggs, for instance, the pineapples, the bananas, the prices fell from almost like 15,000 a tray to just about 2,000, 3,000. That is because the markets, the access to markets or the borders were closed, and many of the items could not actually be spread out or be given or be marketed. I want to say that wherever I've been, I've served. I have a tested leadership trait. So that's why I'm saying...
In just 30 seconds, at what point do you then say I've done my part?
For instance, I will tell you that I'm 58 years of age. Public service, you retire at 65, and many other areas. I don't want to talk about the judges and many others. I'm still very energetic, and I think I can effectively serve my people of Nakawa West. And I want to believe that within the 5 years, this being a new constituency, it would need a tested leader. That when you put your foot on the ground, you put the foot on the ground and start running immediately. Some of the areas where we're going, there is a lot of negotiations. He has always been mentioning it. When you don't know how to circumvent the areas in Parliament, you may take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years learning. You've seen the scorecard records. Some of those who are actually performing very poorly is because they are new members of Parliament. I want to say, let Nakawa be represented by Margaret Nantongo Ziwa. We shall be able to reap what deserves us.
Do you seem to insinuate that all the other candidates will be learning on the job and they will only be circumventing the aspects of parliamentary business? Because like you said, it is a new constituency, meaning whichever leader will be voted will be the first of the kind in the constituency.
I'm just asserting that experience matters.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wilberforce Chambade, for the last 5 years, the legislative duty of making sure that the people of Nakawa in general, including Nakawa West, fell on the shoulders of your party, the Opposition Forum for Democratic Change, in which you play a very influential role. Why should FDC be trusted with another 5 years under your leadership this time, when clearly the things you're talking about are still standing out under the leadership of your party, because the MP belongs to the FDC?
Thank you very much. First of all, we need to be cognizant of the environment in which we are working. That there is no way in the current circumstances you can achieve 100%, but an effort has been taken in the direction of sorting out some of these issues. Our legislative agenda as FDC is building a new Uganda. And as you are aware, it wouldn't be prudent for us to ignore the effects of COVID. People are just recovering. And therefore, in our agenda, we have provided for a transitional agenda where we want to restore the rule of law and constitutionalism. Most of the state institutions have actually collapsed, and they have been taken over by those in the NRM government, and they are not operating normally. We need to strengthen these state institutions if we have to achieve anything, so that institutions can operate professionally and independently from the
I'm sorry, Mr. Chambade. If you could just clear the air. When you say most of the state institutions have been run over by the NRM, what do you mean? Could you cite examples? We'll give you some more minutes.
For instance, we are in the electoral processes. You see how the electoral commission is operating. See the judiciary, the way they are handling the cases as they come. Really, there is no absolute independence from the executive.
Would I be right to say you're labeling allegations?
No, it's not an allegation.
Because I cannot confirm what you are speaking about right now. When you say look at the Electoral Commission and how the judiciary is dealing with cases, I don't seem to get that as clear as it should.
Surely when you see how it is operating, it's being taken over by the security forces. Are we really is that how we are supposed to operate normally? I think there is need for us to strengthen these institutions so that they operate independently and they are strengthened. There is the socio-economic effect post-COVID we need to handle it. We need to provide for the constituents in the constituency. They are facing a lot of difficulties. As you're aware, you may not be aware that in Nakawa West constituency, we are losing close to 5 people every single week in most of these slum areas. And the reason is because these people are living in very, very poor conditions. The garbage is not collected. The channels are not cleaned. So they form breeding grounds for the mosquitoes. And therefore, these people are dying every single day. And therefore, there is need for us to fight for these people. We pay licenses and all those taxes to get services from government. Now, I don't see why, again, you turn around and make them pay for the garbage. So when I go to Parliament, I will advocate for the government to assume its former responsibility to provide these services to the constituents. Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid your time is up. Now, the two gentlemen on the extreme right and left, you'll have your due time after the break. We're taking a short break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the legislative agenda of the Democratic Party, represented by the gentleman there, and we'll also be talking to Mr. Zakaria here, but all that after the break. Let's take a break. UG Votes 2021 returns in a bit.
When planning an event, you look out for convenience, flexibility, and spaciousness. Next Conference Center offers all that and more. With high-definition LED screens, crystal clear audio, and state-of-the-art streaming technology, our in-house production team will ensure that your event is smooth and flawless. The Next Conference Center, suitable for e-events, conferences, debates, product launches, and so much more. Located in a prime neighborhood, up on Naguru Hill, Kampala. Talk to us today and make your next event a spectacular one. NCC, Next Conference Center.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more. Like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Enjoy the magic of Christmas with Coca-Cola.
Yellow, how are you? Tell me, how do you do? We're here to show some appreciation for the things you do. Sent you for today, and we sent you for tomorrow. Sent you for every time and everywhere you go. We love you so, and we enjoy life with you. We are happy, happy, happy to know that we will go with you. That's why we say, sent you, sent you, sent you, sent you, yeah. Sent you, sent you.
Sent you for choosing MTN. Use MTN mobile money, bundles, or other services to get Sent You points. The more you use, the more Sent You points you get. We look forward to many more years together. Sent You. GoTV is everyone's favorite place in Osekukuru, a place where strangers become family and abemikwano, where you find unlimited aspiration, a place of unity and where friendship means everything, and where you find love in its purest form. GoTV Kekafunda Cafe in Osekukuru. Get your GoTV decoder, GoTena, and a month of GoTV Max for as low as 89,000 shillings. GoTV, love it.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys.
Enjoy the magic of Christmas with Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah, officially is my friend. I don't need to worry for the rest of my day. Hakuna Matata, voice and data bundles. Free OTT. Now I can social distance, call you all day. Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata, the newest bundle from Africell. Lots of data, unlimited calls, and free OTT. Dial *133#. Select your preferred daily, weekly, or monthly bundle, and Hakuna Matata. Stay connected, stay safe. Africell is regulated by Ghana Communications Commission.
Hakuna Matata.
2020 has been a challenging year. You have done well. Your effort is appreciated. Now you can splurge a little because you deserve it. Our end-of-year sale is a chance to spoil yourself a little. Huge discounts for quality and comfort at its best, only found at Nina Interiors. Get the lowest prices for the best quality furniture. End the year with a splurge on yourself. Find us on Plot 41 Ginger Road, Nina Interiors. We wish you a merry festive season. Come experience distinction.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching UG Votes 2021 live from the Next Conference Center from Plot 13 Summit View Road, the home of NBS Television. The lady and gentlemen who seek to represent the people of Nakawa in the 11th Parliament are here on stage, projecting their legislative agenda, and as well as those of the political parties that they represent. And a warm welcome to our audience online as well. The hashtag is UGVotes 2021. Keep the questions and comments coming. And on stage we have the Honorable Margaret Nantongo Ziwa of the NRM, Mr. Joel Senyonyi of the National Unity Platform, Mr. Wilberforce Chambade of the Forum for Democratic Change, Kenneth Paul Kakande, an independent candidate, Mr. Isabire Zakaria, an independent, and Mr. Tebisura Emmanuel Serumaga from the Democratic Party. And we hope that the people of Nakawa can follow these conversations and decide who can best project their voice in the 11th Parliament.
And of course, just to clear it up, there are 14 people standing to represent the people of Nakawa West, but because of social distance, our very first opportunity was given to those representing political parties, and two independents who are represented in Kenneth Paul Kakande and Isabide Zakaria. But for any other opportunity for the discussion on Nakawa West, the remaining candidates will as well be given an opportunity. Just before we move on to Mr. Isabide Zakaria and Emmanuel Serumaga, I would like that we clear a bit of the statements made by Mr. Wilberforce Chambade. You did say, before we did take a break, that 5 people in Nakawa West die per week. And some of the reasons that you did give are mosquitoes, and I want to think that's malaria, and the aspect of garbage. I would like to refer to it for sanitation. What have you done so far? Do you need to first go to Parliament to have such issues that could be done with at any leadership position? And also when you talk about malaria, mosquito nets are being given free of charge by the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Health. How do we say that people in Nakawa West, which is closer to the capital city, are still dying of malaria?
You see, it's not really a matter of people in government saying that they are giving mosquito nets, but are the people really getting them? That's where I think we should go. Are they really getting these mosquito nets? A lot of things are given, but they never reach the actual consumer, the actual person down. And that's where there's a problem. That's why we need to do something about it. Now, the health services in these areas are not there. Even the health centers which are available have no medicine at all. So these people have no money. First of all, they have been affected badly by the COVID period. Many of them are unemployed. They don't have sources of income. They can't even get transport. If you doubt the number I gave you of 5, yesterday alone, 2 people died. Yesterday in one day. So even 5 people dying is an understatement. They actually sometimes die more than 5.
Where do you get these statistics from?
I'm telling you, if you want the facts, I will produce them.
All right.
If you want them.
Yes, because we always want to make it clear.
Because it's the truth. And even this morning, they called me, someone died. And I'm sure many of these members are aware.
Mr. Wilberforce, if we are to believe every call, then this country would be crazy, you know that?
No. I had to go there.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Gentlemen, we'll try our best to be equitable in terms of time allocation. And we have 2 gentlemen who are to make their submissions in regard to the legislative agenda. If I can start with you, Mr. Zakaria Isabiresa. The structure of parliament is that there's a government side, there's the opposition side, and there's the independent side. Many times the tyranny of numbers, determines the day and how legislative agendas actually prevail. Let's listen to your game plan if elected as Member of Parliament in that direction, starting now in 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. First of all, as a qualified teacher, I know that the biggest problem we are facing in this country is not about leadership. It's about our population. The 1992 Education White Paper of government stated it very clear that no country can be better than the quality of its education system. And no education system can be better than the quality of its teachers. The challenge we have, people are talking about the responsibilities they ought to execute while they are elected to be in those positions. As you've stated it, what is the game plan? Negotiations. Indeed, for the time I've spent as a teacher and a real estate manager, I carry with me the experience of negotiation to the best conditions. I'm going to represent Nakawa West with all the people, irrespective of their political parties. I would therefore, as I say in my mission, I'll have to listen to them, I'll have to serve them, and act in accordance to what they want. All the laws that come to Parliament are intended for the good of the people. Unfortunately, some come to curtail our coexistence. As a Member of Parliament, I want to look at a way how we benefit our communities. That's why I chose authentic, transformation, servant leadership that is voter-based. However much you'll be a good legislator in Parliament, but your actions are not intended for the good of the people, like the way some of the colleagues who are here have done for so many years, perhaps. It doesn't even require us and those who are watching us to know that they don't have the potential to do anything more beyond what they have done. I want to dig a little bit, as you're doing fact-checking there, I want to dig a little bit into what Mama Margaret was submitting here. This is not about just persuading people to give us votes. We must be genuine enough to our voters. This country is lacking integrity in the leaders. We therefore need to tell the NRM government that the promises of 35 years have gone to pass and nothing has been seen to be anywhere implemented to support the population. As a legislator, I want to ensure that all those failed promises and those other activities that I have lined up in education, in health, in employment, in agriculture, in industry, must be catered for. This government or any other government that will come, I don't know whether the one of Senyon will be in power, okay? Any government that will be in power by January will ensure that appropriation in Parliament is not based on issues of number. It's on issue of what benefits the communities.
All right, your time is up, but I'll add you an additional 2 minutes because of the time allocated to your competitors for interrogation and follow-ups. Look, how are you going to do these things that you're talking about? You know, it's not like the times of Moses where you stand and say, let there be a space in the middle of the sea and it passes. I want to listen to the how, but also in the 2 minutes, when you say colleagues on this stage, the things they have been doing do not qualify them to be leaders. Can we have clear reasoning? What exactly are you saying? Because I did not understand you at that.
Thank you. I'll start with the last one. With us here, there is an NRM candidate. And I'm not shy to say about it. 35 years, they've had so many promises made to Ugandans, from modernization of agriculture to Emyoga. If you ask the empirical evidence of the impact of those initiatives, this country will laugh at you. That's why they're not ashamed even right now to tell us that a group of people, more than 5,000 people, voters, in a community of more than 10,000 who live in Ibanda, they don't have clean water in a distance of 5 kilometers from Kampala. I don't think we have authority to give them more mandate to lead us. In Nakawa West constituency, a new constituency, we want to set our foundation different from the parameters of the political rims that have ruined this country. 2, you have said, how am I going to do this? I've told you that a professional teacher, for us we plan. As a teacher plans in the system of a syllabus, a curriculum, into a lesson plan. I'll do my planning with all the political players in Parliament to ensure that service delivery is the center of our leadership, not because we belong to different political affiliations.
What happens if they disagree with you?
The principle is, all of us who are there, and it's good you've said numbers will speak. As you see part of our bodies, each part of the body is very important. We shall always endure to see that I engage them. Because I'm not new to negotiations. As I've told you, 12 years experience of real estate. I don't think anyone is the better negotiator than a real estate dealer.
Look, sir, let's deal with realities. I hear you. Very good, impressive CV in the classroom. Unfortunately, unlike the classroom where the planning ends on the chalkboard, Parliament is a different game plan. There are party caucuses that make decisions, and decisions that are rigid. I just want to picture you, the great negotiator in this equation. Let's land in the realistic context of Parliament.
Okay, I'll pick the example my brother Kakande gave, that this Parliament that is still on, the second biggest population there is independents. And all the political parties were scrambling for them. And for sure, if we are going to go on a negotiation table and you're looking for equity, all of us must come with clean hands. We shall play into the system of give and take, but at the same time ensuring that it's our people who benefit, not us who are seated in the House.
Thank you very much.
And to you, Mr. Tebisura Emmanuel Serumaga, the Democratic Party that has not had a chance at probably the top leadership of the country for many years, but still hoping so. For Nakawa West, do you have a plan as a political party?
I thank you all. I thank NBS for this magnificent establishment. Indeed, you are the political powerhouse, the media. I thank the people of Nakawa West. I thank my team. We have been in Mulimira. I know you're still there. And everybody who is here, my colleagues, I am Emmanuel Seomaga Tebisula, born and raised in Nakawa West, and a leader and member of the Democratic Party. You see, when you are talking about the Democratic Party, you are talking about pedigree, you are talking about heritage, you are talking about certainty and stability, you are talking about truth and justice. So the DP is the only party which has always had a plan for this country. It has always operated as a place of reference, a point of reference for politics. And when you are talking about legislation, it's summarized in truth and justice. So DP is the one-stop center for legislation, for guidance,
Mr.
for
Serumaga,
leadership.
when you say the DP is the only party that has had a plan, the National Unity Platform will tell you they have a manifesto. The NRM has a manifesto. The Forum for Democratic Change has a manifesto. Those are plans for Ugandans. So it wouldn't be right to say it's only the Democratic Party with a plan for Uganda.
You see, when you have to advocate for anything, you must be sure about the truth and the facts. DP is the only tested party in this country which has results that cannot be refuted. So I'm not going to talk about people who have just emerged, people who are not even tested, people who are still wallowing in elementary battles of politics. I'm talking about the Democratic Party here.
Which also had a start.
What would the Honorable Nantongo say to you, then?
Honorable Nantongo.
What do you think should say to for her? She's talking about 35 years in power. For you, you're talking about being tested in opposition.
35 years. No, the DP was the first to take the mantle of leadership of this country. And all leaders, we are talking about...
shorter than the NRM has.
Sorry?
For a time shorter than the NRM has in power.
Yes. Now, the DP, 85%, you can go and check your records, 85% of all leaders in this country have had a start, a connection, or mentorship in DP, including President Museveni. So when you say he has been here for 35 years, he was a member of DP also. So when I talk about DP, let us look at it comprehensively as regards politics.
Thank you very much. Because we interjected, you'll earn yourself additional time. But look, as you respond to this question, I want you to place Nakawa West in this glorious CV of DP that you talk about. And let's do that now, starting now in 2 minutes.
This is what we are going to offer. And this is what I offer as a leader in Nakawa West. As a member of parliament, I'm going to legislate for my constituency. I'm going to represent my constituency. And I'm going to mobilize my constituency for development. For a long time, Nakawa West has had no steward, has had no person to make that connection between the lowest leadership structures and the top. He has had no supervision. No one is there to even lobby for Nakawa West, as if we have been orphans in politics. We have been orphans even in parliament. I've been on the ground, even as I speak now, I've been...
Look, Nakawa West is a new constituency.
Yes, it's a new constituency, but we have been represented.
Okay.
And as I speak now, we have an MP.
Fair enough.
Currently, yes. So we still have an MP. And I've been asking people, what's the name of your MP? 90% don't know the name of the representative of Nakawa West, Nakawa constituency. So what we offer today is leadership. What we offer today is development from the grassroots. We offer connection. We offer mentorship of our leaders. Because I am a team leader, I'm going to work with all the leaders, councillors, local council, youth, women, leadership structures. Because we want to lift Nakawa today. Nakawa has been down. We want to lift it up.
All right, thank you very much. Let's head to our next segment of the conversation this afternoon, and it tackles the housing and livelihood challenges in this great constituency, new as it is, but existing in a different geographical framework in the past. I'll start with you, the Honorable Margaret Nantongo Ziwa. The burden that you carry as the flag bearer of the NRM is that your party has had an opportunity of about 35 years to deal with these challenges that we talk about. Let's listen to your reason for why these things have not been done and why you think, if elected, you could actually change a few of these things starting now in 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I want to mention that all Ugandans must reflect on our history. This country, in the past 40 years or 50 years, actually lost the rails of leadership. And it actually went down the cliff to the greatest or the deepest, I should say, level of existence. Everything, including, for instance, road network, including the moral fiber of the people, actually degenerated. When NRM took power, first and foremost, it took the responsibility to reconstruct this country. That reconstruction took a while, about 10 years or so. You know for sure, some of you who may be relatively older than others, there was no road network to talk about. There were no roads. All our tarmac roads were just potholes. All the infrastructure, there was no water, there was no electricity to talk about. There was nothing, virtually there was nothing. And we have to agree that definitely that was the status. For the last 10 to 15 years after that, there was a lot of emphasis on reconstruction. And that took place. You know for sure, even the roads we know now about, Masaka Road, Ginger Road, even ours here in Nakawa West, which were non-existent, they had to start being constructed. Schools were all broken down. Industries, which are being talked about, maybe allegedly talking about being alleged to have been taken over by NRM, were non-existent. Sugar was non-existent, and all that. So that period was about 15 years. After that, we had to go into the second phase of now development. And that also has been vivid. If we talk about the road networks, I shouldn't call them bypasses, but I can talk about the road network which is covering from, I should say, Moroto to Kisoro, or maybe from Malaba to Mpondwe, or to Nimule. I would tell you that today a Ugandan can drive from one point of the country to another. This is all NRM's work. I can tell you all the schools being talked about, leave alone maybe the quality as maybe it's being alleged, but all the schools which are being now looked at, even the policy of opening up the education sector, even the policy of opening up the health sector, even the policies of privatization, all this has been a work of NRM. Now, it is a process. After we've reached this stage, do you think that that is adequate? And I would say no. We are building from that stage, going ahead.
All right, your time is out, but I'll still give you some few minutes. Having given the historical perspective, the reality on ground for a constituency that you seek to represent is that you have both the affluent areas and the slums. You have an industrial center in Nakawa, but you still have unemployment rates are very, very high in this constituency that you seek to represent. Poor housing conditions, a highly independent population. How do you seek to correct this?
And maybe take this at a go. Just how many more years does the NRM need to do these things?
The government of NRM is built in the system of NRM. And I want to tell you, look at what we call the developed countries. China, for instance, how many years has the People Party of China been in power? The great leader went, the happy leader came, and he has gone. It doesn't mean that when NRM is in power, it will go if a leader goes. No. We are building a party which is a party for the people. NRM is a mass party. Many of us belong to NRM because of its ideals and ideology. It is for the people. It is there to develop a Ugandan. And it's because of that that this party is here to stay. When I say that, we are developing it so that everybody would appreciate what it is there to offer, and then we are able to take it ahead. You'll appreciate, for instance, I'll keep drawing on China. When China came in the leadership of the People's Party, for about 50 years, it was closed. Actually, it was about 80 years. It was closed. And when it was closed, and it had an import substitution arrangement, it was able to grow all the industries you see today, or where we are able to import virtually everything from China. Now, as NRM, we are building on the industrialization policy. This one is one of the things which we are going to give the people of Uganda a spring into what we call a better Uganda. So I want to say that as NRM, we are here to stay. Individual members may leave. I may leave as Margaret Isiwa. Others may leave. But as a party, we are here and we are striving because it's the best party to give direction.
You have unfortunately not responded to what you intend to do to the issues I asked about.
Sorry, I think
you'll have just 1 minute.
First and foremost, all the people of Nakawa, all the youth under the skilling program, I want to make sure that they are able to be integrated in the skilling program. We are able to have them linked into the industries which are available. And some of those who may not be able to be skilled to the level of the industries which are available, we are going to unveil again the program of the Youth Livelihood Program and be able to integrate them, to have them have their own capital and be able to develop themselves.
All right, and I do hope that members, you remember that you're going to a parliament that will have over 500 this time. And in a few minutes that you will be given by the speaker, you will need to elaborate your points out. I do hope you remember that.
All right, and each candidate earns an additional 3 minutes based on our rule of equity as you respond to this question. To Mr. Joel Senyonyi, the problems of unemployment, poor housing, great levels of poverty and unemployment in Nakawa are well talked about. We've had people talk about them. What plans do you have as a party and as a candidate to deal with these issues? What are the practical solutions that your party takes to Parliament to deal with the issues that we have ably identified?
Thank you. I'll use 1 minute of the 3 minutes to address this whole narrative of experience. I've had my mother, Margaret Nantongo Ziwa, talk about it, and I call her my mother because at her age, she's fit to be my mother, and I respect her age. But you see, when people like her and several others that I keep hearing through this whole experience narrative, I'm thinking, how did they start? Margaret Nantongo Ziwa was a young lady in 1993 when she joined the Constituent Assembly. When the NRM leaders who are leading us currently came from the bush, they were very young fellows. They were ministers at 27. The army commander was 28 years old. So how do you tell me that Joel Senyonyi, who is 34 years, is too young? That Shagulanyi Sentamu Robert, who is 38 years, is too young to lead? I just do not understand where they get this whole experience narrative from. But also, very importantly, the people that have this experience that they talk about, I see how they are mismanaging our country. And I'm thinking, why aren't you making good use of the experience that you have? Look at the state of healthcare. Look at the state of education. These are people that are stealing from our taxpayers, from we the taxpayers. She's talked about roads. The cost of roads in Uganda is 4 times the cost of roads in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a hilly country, so their roads should be a lot more expensive than ours here. But ours are a lot more expensive because of the thieves. And that's not even our figures. You read the UNRWA probe, I'm sure you did. They went and did benchmarking. So our roads are a lot more expensive because our leaders who have experience are thieves. Okay, and by the way, that money is loan money. I'm supposed to pay that money, my children, my grandchildren. So as opposed to them securing our future, they're actually stealing from our future.
Mr.
So
Joel,
as I conclude this, if you'll allow me.
Just a minute, I will give you your time. Do you put the land tenure system of Uganda into context of the price of our roads?
Absolutely. But I'm talking about the UNRWA probe. I didn't do the probe. I didn't do the research. The UNRWA probe, if you read it, it did show you clearly that the roads are very expensive because of the thieves in government. That was very clear. They are not my words. They were the words of a probe, a government probe, by the way. If it was opposition that did the probe, they would say, no, you're biased. It was a government probe. So,
proceed.
Mama Nantongo Ziwa, and by the way, the name Ziwa is from my clan too, so I guess there's a relationship. I say this with respect, Mama. Please stop intimidating young people and telling them you're too young, leave those with experience and so on. You were given chance when you were a young lady. The time you were in the Constituent Assembly, you were younger than me currently. You were given a chance. So let's stop intimidating young people. You're very young and all of that. Anyhow, I'll get to the question of unemployment. And you asked about my party, which I speak for, the National Unity Platform. So there's key critical things that we are focusing on in our manifesto. It's a fairly, it's a longer one, about 46 pages, but 5 key things, which represent the fist 5. We raise the fist. And it's deliberate because there's 5 critical things that we want to focus on. And I'll knock out the individual one. So 1 is the people-centered government, inclusive economic development. 3, equal access to healthcare and education. 4, land, natural resources, environmental protection. And 5, national security and international relations. But with specificity, I'll talk about inclusive economic development, which will make sure that our young people have employment opportunities. I'll tell you what, our country imports a lot more than it exports. That's a problem. When we import, we are spending. When you export, we are earning. So we export very little, we are importing a lot. We are spending quite a bit. And that has an effect on the jobs for our young people. Where is the genesis of this? Our leaders have refused to focus on our young people. The focus is on foreign investors. They will come here, they'll be given tax waivers, they'll be given land. Of late, we are guaranteeing them money. Can you imagine an investor? What kind of investor are you if we are guaranteeing you money? You remember the Lubowa Hospital saga? Yet we have young people that are starting out businesses. Over 60% of young people that start businesses in this our country, those businesses don't live up to their first birthday. Those are figures of Enterprise Uganda. Why we are not focusing on them? They're struggling with heavy taxes. Why can't we extend these tax waivers to these small businesses of young people, of women, such that jobs can be created? So they start, but their businesses crumble because heavy taxes, there's no incentives to them. Now, I'm not saying let's not focus on foreign investors. I think we should allow them. But you see, the same way we are giving them access here, we should avail the same incentives to our young people, to local producers here. You cannot feed your neighbor's children while yours are starving, for heaven's sake. Can we focus? And that's what we are talking about when we say inclusive economic development. That there must be focus on every Ugandan. There's many young people, there's many women and other Ugandans that are starting out businesses. Let's help them. Tax waivers, if we can do it for foreigners, let's do it for our people here, all right? And all these incentives that we are availing, such that the businesses can be given chance to grow. There's many Ugandan businesses that have closed, and many young people have lost jobs. They've closed. Why? Because of the heavy taxes. Mind you, we don't even get the service delivery that comes out, that should be coming out of the taxes, the heavy taxes that we pay. So once we fix that, jobs shall be available for our young people. These young people are only going to work in these businesses that exist. But if the businesses are shutting down, why? Because heavy taxes and all the other burdens, all the other challenges in the business environment, which our leaders are not focusing on, will have a real huge challenge. So for us, we are saying inclusive economic development. We want to focus on the Ugandan persons. My cue, these Ugandans, when they make profit, because I imagine sometimes some people in government will say, no, I'll not allow Sabiti's business to grow because it's going to become very rich, But you see, when Sabiti's business thrives, Sabiti is hiring hundreds, perhaps thousands of young people, depending on how big the industry or the business is. So when you allow Sabiti to thrive, many Ugandans are thriving.
I'm afraid the time is up, sir.
And maybe, Joseph, now that Joel, you talked about taxes in 2 minutes. The tax register of the Uganda Revenue Authority as at 30th October 2020 was 1.6 million people. And 1.3 of those, 1.3 million, are individuals probably paying pay as you earn and the rest. You talked about the businesses being taxed, but also the reality on ground is a huge sector that does not subscribe to paying taxes. If I would say so, for lack of a better word, it is the informal sector. As a leader, how are you going to promote to ensure that we increase our taxable revenue, our taxable base, and also the register grows? Because at the end of the day, if the taxes are paid, the services will come through. And if you are a leadership that is going to be accountable and pushing and following up.
2 things, Mildred. So 1, it's good you say that there's just a small fraction of our population that pays taxes.
Sure.
They are heavily burdened, These are the small, individual Ugandans that are trying out to eke out a living in the corporate world and so on. And that's why I was saying I was bothered by big companies, by foreigners that come, and we're giving them tax waivers. Yet the ordinary people are paying heavily. But the second and most critical one, you see, there's many people that avoid or even evade taxes. And the reason that is, bad as a habit it is, it's because Ugandans don't see value from their taxes. That's why they keep running away from it. They're thinking, you know what, let me save my money, as they call it. Because tomorrow I'll go to Mulago Hospital, they'll not attend to me. If they're to attend to me, I've got to pay heavily. You go to Health Center 3, your wife is going to give birth. They tell you buy A, B, C, D. So the person is thinking, no, instead of paying this tax money, let me keep it because tomorrow I'll have a challenge, all right? But if we were seeing value for our taxes, it would be a lot easier. I've read about the Singapore story, from third world to first world. They had a leader who I disagree with on a couple of things, but you see, on the larger front, this leader, Lee Kuan Yew, loved his people, served his people, made sure there was no corruption, made sure there was value for the taxes that the people were paying. And so whenever he would reach out to the people and say, you know what, this year, we're going to increase taxes a little bit, his people were very understanding of him. Why? Because they were seeing good healthcare, quality healthcare. They were seeing education for their children and all these other services. So they had no problem paying a little bit more because it was coming back to them. In our case, it's a different story.
Thank you very much. All right. Let's go to Mr. Kenneth Paul Kakande. The issues that we're talking about, the question of unemployment heavily affecting the young people and the poor housing conditions of the people living in the slums. What policy alternatives do you take to Parliament to deal with these situations?
Talking about Nakawa, I'll be selfish when it comes to unemployment because I'll be the Member of Parliament for the people of Nakawa. So my focus primarily will be at the level of the people of Nakawa. These boys I'm meeting every day, these young people, the old women who want a better life. What should I do for them? I know for the fact that government cannot provide all the employment we need for our young people. But there's something you mentioned. There's a lot of unemployment in Nakawa, although Nakawa is too industrialized. I'll be selfish when I come at that. One, as a Member of Parliament, I'm going to knock doors to managers of all these companies around, and I'll be asking for jobs. I will not be commanding, I'll be persuading them, convincing them, give me 2 jobs, give me 3, and I'll walk through all these companies. At the end of the day, I may get like 200 or 300 jobs, and I'll call my young people in the constituents, what can you do? Can you take this one? Can you take? That's why I said I want to be selfish when it comes to this, because I'll be representing the people of Nakawa. I know there are so many people who come to Nakawa to work coming from different constituencies. That's why I said I'm going to be a little selfish, because I know for sure government as it is today, and even the next government, will not provide all the employment that we need for our young people. 2,
Sorry, just on that. Assuming you knock on 200 doors and all the vacancies are filled, what next?
There are always advertisements. I always pass through Nakawa and I see adverts on the gates. We need these workers, we need these workers, we need these workers. So what I'm going to do as a Member of Parliament, first of all, I am going to open an information center. Sometimes it is about connection, an information center. Where jobs open, I'll be in position to inform our young people that there are 3 jobs here. And like I told you, I'm going to knock doors. When I come to your office when you are the manager of a big company in Nakawa, and I tell you I'm the MP for Nakawa, can you give me 2, 3 jobs? I'm not ordering you, but I'm asking. Because I'm a Member of Parliament, you say, maybe let me scratch his back. Next time, I may need to scratch mine. He will give me the jobs I need. And then I will give for my people. That's why I said I'm going to be selfish.
Wouldn't that be a form of bribery or corruption?
It's not a bribe. It's not a bribe.
Scratch my back and scratch yours.
No. When I come to you and ask for assistance, I'm not giving you anything. I'm asking for assistance. Some people give assistance because they expect assistance.
And that's exactly what you say.
It's
because
not corruption.
Is not necessarily that you'll have to pay out money. But because I giving you 2 jobs because I expect you as a Member of Parliament, like you stated, to scratch my back at some point.
Let me show you something. There are taxes, for example, that affect industries unfairly. And they need members of Parliament to advocate for them. That's not a bribe.
Okay.
If you feel as a Ugandan you are being treated unfairly and you have a friend who's a member of parliament, you go to the member of parliament. In any case, I'll be representing them and explain your situation to those people. I'll be listening to them. I'll pick their cause.
Let's go back to your principle of scratch my back, I scratch yours. As stated by you, I'm quoting you, of course.
Yes.
There's something in Parliament called accountability committees, and procurement is a big issue. Let's talk about how you relate that scratch my back synopsis to when these companies appear before you after squandering either government money or when they need favors in the house, sir.
Let me show you something. When I come to you and ask for 3 jobs for young people, and you give me those 3 jobs, that is not a license for you to be corrupt. Because you are giving me 3 jobs for young people in my community who are qualified. Next time when you steal, it will not be a basis for me to look the other side.
There might be someone from Zombo who is more qualified for those jobs, but you've used your influence as member of parliament.
No, I'm representing the people of Nakawa. I'm not going to go to Zombo and ask for the person who is qualified in this field. I'm representing the people of Nakawa. And I said I'm going to open an information center to know who is qualified in this area, who is qualified in this area, who is not qualified, who can be a porter. And then I will know that I have 200 young people. They are not qualified. They did not go to school, but they can work as porters. Then I'll start moving around. That is not corruption.
Have you heard about MPs who are in the pockets of industrialists? Have you heard that on the streets?
Yeah, I know about them.
Let's talk about that in relation to your philosophy.
They are given something. In this case, I'm not receiving anything.
You're receiving 3 jobs.
They are not my jobs. They are jobs for my young people.
It's for the people you represent who are your electors who are going to vote you the next electoral cycle.
And I'm not a beneficiary.
You are, because you
It is the young people who are benefiting. It is connection. There are even people who are doing that as a job, to connect people who are unemployed to areas where employment is available.
Maybe in simple, Kenneth, let's draw the line between connection and the other thing we're talking about.
Which other thing?
The other one, bribery.
Okay, I'm not experiencing
let's draw the line.
bribery.
Let's draw the line.
Yes.
No, from your situation, let's just say to this, let's draw the line.
Let me tell you what I'm talking about. In town here, there are organizations which look for jobs, connecting people who are unemployed to where the jobs are. That's not corruption. What I'm trying to do, I am saying I'm going to do that for my community, free of charge. Look for where the jobs are, even outside the constituency, for example. I can even do it outside the constituency. Look for where the jobs are and connect the young people where the jobs are available.
Thank you very much. Your time is up.
To you, Mr. Tebisura Emmanuel Serumaga from the Democratic Party. Issues of unemployment, very existent in a constituency that you seek to represent. Poor housing conditions, your population is seemingly a very highly dependent one, which is across the country because it's a young population. What will be your magic stick if you are given the mandate?
Thanks so much. You see, one leads to the other. You can't be unemployed and you have good housing. But I also want to go back to, there is a matter I wanted to contribute upon. You are saying that the taxpayers, the major taxpayers that have been displayed and praised, that they are the only taxpayers, that there is a section that doesn't pay taxes. Actually, the ones you are referring to as non-taxpayers are the ones who pay the taxes. When I buy a bar of steel from Roofings, I'm the one who has paid the tax, not Roofings. So there are many people who pay taxes who are not even considered. And we consider these ones. These ones receive the taxes.
Mr.
And
Serumaga,
remit them.
The statistics I give are by the Uganda Revenue Authority, and that I give the statistics of the tax register. Every Ugandan in here pays taxes indirectly. When I do buy a bar of soap, when I buy sugar, when I buy whatever usable I use, I pay taxes indirectly. So each and every Ugandan is actually a taxpayer. But I was referring to the register of taxpayers directly.
Okay. I thank you so much. I go back to the question of unemployment. I want to put emphasis on the informal sector. You see, the informal sector actually pays more tax than is understood in this country. And in Nakawa, we have industries, but the largest sector is the informal sector in Nakawa West. And these ones need to be assisted. So this is, for me, what I look at and what we have to consider. We have to be a connection for credit to these people. There are many projects that come from the government, by the way. And without supervision, without someone in charge, without advocacy, without lobbying, Nakawa has been left out in that area. Because with the established industries, that's all right. They employ our people and we shall go to them, like my brother was saying. And for me, I've already actually done it. I've visited some of these industries. I want to see what they can offer my people. You see, and indeed there was no connection. There was nobody to go to lobbying for them. There was nobody contacting these people for the people, for the unemployed and others for the services. And they also told me they even have products and they would expect the market, the immediate market, to be Nakawa West, where the industries are located. But because there is no connection, there is no leadership, there is no stewardship whatsoever. So there was a disconnection in Nakawa West, in that area. So these people have jobs. Because they are telling me that they spend a lot on television, a lot in newspapers, a lot on radios, advertising these jobs. And they get people from as far as Mukono, Buyikwe, to take up these jobs. Because there is no connection here. There was no leader who was willing to go and liaise with them to connect his people. So they found it a very useful intervention for leaders to go to them and get jobs for their people. That's one way, as far as the established formal sector is concerned. But the informal sector needs credit. The informal sector needs mentorship in businesses. There are people who have capital, but they can't even allocate it very well to benefit them and employ others around them because they have not been mentored. They have not been guided well. So there is an area of guidance. As a leader, I must play that role of mobilizing and guiding them to appropriate businesses and things that are going to benefit the community.
Look, Mr. Serumaga.
Yes, sir.
When then will you sit in Parliament?
Sorry?
When do you sit in Parliament? You're moving from factory to factory, you're mentoring informal sector, looking for credit. When do you sit in Parliament, sir?
I thank you so much. When I was campaigning, I did it once. I was able to contact 5 employers. Just one visit. 5 what? Employers. So in 2 days, I can cover all the employers in Nakawa West. For the next 5 years, I will not need to move again to these people because we shall be in constant communication.
Again, let's deal with the principle. Your role as an MP is to project policies that will create jobs. Even these factories in Nakawa cannot employ all your people, sir. Yes. So give us your tangible policy alternative that will make things better.
It's you who raised it. It was one aspect of what I was still offering. So it was one area.
But it still states the reality that unemployment is for the entire country.
All right, to dwell much on the informal.
Conclude your thoughts, sir.
I was going to dwell much on the informal.
All right, since you were dwelling on the informal sector, I'll give you an extra 2 minutes.
Yes.
You're talking about connection to credit. One of the reasons that have been given out of research as to why some of the businesses do not receive credit is they're not credit worthy. They don't have books of accounts. The management structures are not clear. How then do you expect, even if it were banks or government or the money is released, there are still guidelines that have to be taken for many of these businesses to get this kind of credit? How do you hope to make it better?
Whoever has been qualifying them as not credit worthy has been the formal sector, the banks and
even the informal sector.
These people in offices and others. But let me tell you, at every level, at every village, there are groups, there are cash circles. There are circles, many circles have been emerging and they are thriving in business. How? If these people are not credit worthy? You understand? How have they been thriving?
We actually don't understand, that's why we're asking this.
You're asking what? So, because there is a disconnection between the people at the top and the people down.
Mr. Seremaga,
people who are down there.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
What is your understanding of a business being credit-worthy?
My understanding of a business being credit-worthy, number one, it must be standing. It must be standing. And I can assure you in Nakawa West, there are very many businesses that are standing. They are providing...
What do you mean standing?
Sorry?
What do you mean a business
Are
must
the other
be standing?
businesses sitting,
business.
squatting?
In
Just
the
help me
elementary sense, is doing business.
So how do you do? How then is there a business when it's not doing business? Stating the obvious.
Saying,
Yes.
a business which is standing is one which is doing business.
Yeah, but how is it a business
Trading,
when it's not doing business?
offering services, that is what is, to me, is business. You can either trade or offer services. And we have very many thriving people. That's why you see buildings mushrooming. You see children going to school fees being paid. It's not money got from these banks, you know. It's
Thank you very
got
much.
from
Thank you.
alignment from...
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll get back to you. Between Mr. Chambade and Mr. Estabidia, you'll have your time to make a go at the policy issues. Again, for the record, the core members of parliament are stated in the roles of a member of parliament are stated in our constitution, the whole of chapter 6, and therefore we shall focus our discussion on those that are put on you by the constitution. But starting with you, Mr. Zakaria Isabidia, let's listen to your policy alternatives to change the worrying statistics, standing I think at 70%, to change the statistics about the poor state of housing in Nakawa as member of parliament for this great constituency. Starting now, you'll have your 6 minutes uninterrupted if need be.
Thank you. Let me just give you the correct figures. 77% of Nakawa West constituency is in Islam. And 80% of those living in those slums are either unemployed, underemployed, or they're in transition. They left the jobs, but they have nowhere to go. They're in between there. When we talk about the issue of unemployment, it goes back to my principle of education. Most of the people we are interacting with in this constituency, they'll tell you we are unemployed. But when you ask what they have the academic qualifications on paper, but don't have the skills that the employers are looking for. And we must address the root causes, not the symptoms, if we have to solve the problems of the constituency. We must address the issue of education so that our students who are getting out of the education system are employable. You go to employers who tell you, I want 10 people, but the fact of the matter is they work for 2 months and the next thing will be, I can't continue with the work. Because they are trained to cram. They are trained to keep. They are not trained to innovate and apply. So we must address the principle of education so that we can be able to move forward. And I'm very disappointed with the National Council for Curriculum Development Center. 20 years down the road, they were given a responsibility to see how applicable our education system is in the betterment of our society. They have absolutely failed on this. Right now we hear them, they're stopping students learning the geography of North America. They are now pushing them to study the geography of China. For what value is it to the people of Nakawa West? We must address the issue of education if we have to address all the problems our people are suffering from. When we go at skilling the youth, I want to have a policy that will be brought to Parliament. All schools, any kid by the age of 10 years must be able to have a skill applicable in society beyond the ordinary teaching and learning in classroom, boardroom areas. I want to see that everything that we are doing, we do it to the best of how we help the community to rise from the shackles they are in. You're talking about unemployment among the youth. But even others, you find a group of 35 women, they're having a circle. What they do? They're doing paper bags. How much do they get a week? 10,000. They are mothers, they are caretakers, they are widows. Here we want policies in Parliament that must address the concerns of the population, not the reams of people who can speak good English. People want services on the ground. I want to look at ensuring that agronomics is the center.
I hope you're not referring to Mildred when you talk about people who speak good English. Proceed, go ahead.
I want to talk about agronomics. When you see unemployment, most of the root causes of unemployment is rural-urban migration. We must therefore settle the concept of people leaving villages to come and swarm in Kampala. We must address the issue of agro-based industries, provide them with the best raw materials, quality. Equipment must be class. We must ensure that the roads that transport these products to the necessary markets are very readily available. Failure to do that, we are talking of 77% now. I can tell you that 5 years down the road when I'm the MP of this area, it may even have escalated to more than 100 plus. So I want to be sure that we address the root causes, and that's where my focus will be. I want to look at the issue of housing. It is embarrassing when I heard Mama Margaret was saying here that NRM has a plan for this. I want to refer you to Naguru Estate. How many years down the road, you forcefully chase those people, telling them you are going to construct low-cost houses. I grew up in the slums of Naguru Banka village. We've been living in those areas, and you lied to everyone that you're going to do the best. How many years down the road? I want to tell you, it is very embarrassing that the biggest population of our community we want to lead as leaders seeking their mandate is living in unwanted conditions. If I can take both of you and the audience here to go there, you will come back and chase us on this podium. Because the conditions people are living in are very terrible. So the issue should be centered on how we improve the betterment, the lives of people on the ground. The housing question can be solved. We need to plan. Where is the National Planning Authority? We need to give people ownership of their land. They are living in smaller condominiums of even barely 10 feet. Advise these people genuinely and with integrity, not NRM style, with integrity. Tell them you are seated on 300 acres of land. We are going to partition this land, create good roads, put up drainage systems, put up security. And at the end of the day, if Zachariah is occupying the first floor, Sabit will be on the second one, Joel will be on the third, and Mama Margaret, who is tired and old, will be resting on the fourth one. Because she doesn't want to move every day. I thank you.
Your time is up. We will have Mr. Chamba have his take. We're due for a break, but when we come back, each of the candidates will have 2 minutes for a rebuttal. I know that there are issues that have been raised that touch on either you personally or political affiliations. Let's take a break. When we come back, Mr. Chambade will have his chance, and then you'll have rebuttals, and then the audience can get ready with their questions as we continue with UG Votes 2021. The hashtag is UG Votes 2021. Let's take a break and return in a bit.
I'm experienced now, professional. I done wrestled with an alligator. I done tussled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning, throw thunder in jail.
This is the game that is going to be remembered as the Lionel Messi match.
Last week, I murdered a rock.
Brilliant Kipchoge. From Mohammed.
Injured a stone. Hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. Last night, I cut the light off my bedroom, hit the switch, was in the bed before the room was dark. Bad. Been chopping trees. I done something new for this fight. I'm gonna show you how great I am.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys.
Enjoy the magic of Christmas with Coca-Cola.
Hello, how are you? Tell me, how do you do?
We're here to show some appreciation for the things you do.
Send you for today, and we send you for tomorrow. Send you for every time and everywhere you go. We love you so, and we enjoy life with you. We are happy, happy, happy to know that we will go with you. That's why we say,
Thank you, thank you,
thank you, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for choosing MTN. Use MTN Mobile Money, bundles or other services to get Thank You points. The more you use, the more Thank You points you get. We look forward to many more years together. Thank you.
Refresh your view with football this festive season only on Star Times. Catch Europa League, La Liga, UEFA Nations League, and our own Star Times Uganda Premier League only on Star Times. Recharge 2-month Star Times subscription and get free upgrade to the next bouquets. For Classic or Super Bouquet customer, recharge for 2 months and get 10 days extra. That's not all. If you make any monthly recharge, you automatically win Star Times Go Massive shopping vouchers. The more months you recharge, the more vouchers you win. The shopping vouchers will be sent to your phone number registered under decoder details. It's Christmas Bonanza on Star Times.
So, because of the current lockdown, your home has now become an office and a classroom. We at Rope Telkom want to make your life easier. With Rope Plus Internet, you get to work and study from home at no data cost. Attend that meeting. Be in the classroom without worrying about your data running out. Email sales@ropetelcom.co.ug to subscribe today and get a 40% installation discount. Visit our website for more information. Stay home, stay productive, and stay safe with Rope.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys.
Enjoy the magic of Christmas with Coca-Cola.
When planning an event, you look out for convenience, flexibility, and spaciousness. Next Conference Center offers all that and more. With high-definition LED screens, crystal clear audio, and state-of-the-art streaming technology, our in-house production team will ensure that your event is smooth and flawless. The Next Conference Center, suitable for e-events, conferences, debates, product launches, and so much more. Located in a prime neighborhood, up on Naguru Hill, Kampala. Talk to us today and make your next event a spectacular one. NCC, Next Conference Center.
Double data. Airtel introduces double data. The biggest deal ever on smartphones in Uganda. Buy a smartphone, 3G or 4G, and get 100% data bonus from Airtel. Airtel is giving you 100% bonus data on all weekly and monthly bundles for every new smartphone connected to Airtel for the first 3 months. Dial *175*9# to enjoy double data. Double data, double data. Oh. Airtel, the smartphone network, regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
The weekend.
All is well until Samson opens his mouth.
It's sort of living in a dream, because I remember seeing you on TV and saying, when I grow up. And that,
so I knew you said it.
That has nothing to do with age. With age.
The age part, is that okay?
No, the age part. I don't know why I'm so proud of being old. I wish I could be older.
Okay, so let's go back. I want to get to know Sam.
I am so complicated, I don't understand myself. So I shudder when people say or think or imagine
that they understand
with this illusion that they understand me.
GoTV is everyone's favorite place in Osekukuru, a place where strangers become family and abemikwano, where you find unlimited aspiration, a place of unity and where friendship means everything, and where you find love in its purest form. GoTV Kekafunda Cafe in Osekukuru. Get your GoTV decoder, GoChannel, and a month of GoTV Max for as low as 89,000 shillings. GoTV, love it.
I said a hip hop, the hip it to the hip hop, you don't stop and rock it to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie beat. Now what you bang bang the boogie to the boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the bang bang boogie. Let's rock. You don't stop, rock the rhythm that'll make your body rock. I said a hip hop, the hip it.
Back from the break, you're still watching UG Votes 2021 debate live from the Next Conference Center from Plot 13 Summit View Road, the home of Next Media, the holding company for NBS Television. We're focusing on Nakawa West constituency. 5 gentlemen and a lady this morning. For the record, there are 14 candidates. 14 people want to be members of parliament for this constituency, and we're not able to have all of them here because of COVID restrictions, but next time when the opportunities, we'll consider that batch. All the same, we gave priority to the representatives of political parties because of the importance of the parties in a multi-party dispensation. By the time we took the break, it was time for Mr. Wilberforce Chambade from the Democratic Party to have his take on the policy proposals to deal with unemployment.
From the Forum for Democratic Change, point of corruption.
Oh dear, take my honest apologies. Mr. Wilberforce Chambade from the Forum for Democratic Change. You have your 6 uninterrupted minutes starting right now, sir.
Thank you very much. I would like us to seriously look at this issue of unemployment so that people do not get us wrong out there, our voters. We need, first of all, to understand the gravity of the problem. There are so many young men and women they're out there who are unemployed, not because they are not educated. Many of them are graduates, actually, but you find them in these slums redundant, okay? And of course, this drives them into committing crimes, which they shouldn't have been in, just because they have no income at all. So they engage in crimes. I think the number cannot be understated. These people are so many out there, and they have nowhere to get an employment, any access to an employment opportunity. They wake up, they can't get, anywhere to work. They have nothing to eat, and that's why the crime rate in most of these slum areas is high, because these people are unemployed. I would like to look at it from a practical point of view, that first of all, government, after 35 years, I don't expect it to do any miracle, to perform any miracle now. And I wouldn't expect them to find jobs for these people. But it is our responsibility as leaders to organize these youths. Certainly you can't find enough jobs. Even if you went knocking on every door, you won't find them. The jobs that are going to occupy these people. This is a fact. But I think as leaders, we have a responsibility to organize these young men and women into groups. And where I differ from the NRM method of just, sending money down to projects like, poultry and so on and so forth, which in many occasions do not even reach the people, the intended part of the society. It disappears in the middle. I think that is also wrong, because I believe in a system which starts from down up. First of all, you must identify. You must, as a leader, engage them to identify an area where they would best be, occupied. If you're going to bring poultry, when most of them are not interested in it, still you will not have solved the problem. So engaging them as a leader, as I know people of Nakawa West are going to vote me into parliament, I will organize these people and into groups, engage them in different economic activities so that they find something to eat. At the policy level, we have the so-called investors in Uganda. But our policy, I think, requires review, because when you visit many countries, like, for instance, when you go to United Arab Emirates, you can't do any business without having a local person as one of the shareholders. Here, you find people come, they acquire land as they wish. What they do, you never understand it. We have no order at all. So I think there's need for us to look at to review the policy, the employment policies. These investors must come here well knowing that at least 50% must be local, or 70% must be local. We should not allow only technical staff to come from abroad, to be brought from foreign countries. I think that would help to improve the position of employment. Now, the skilling of youths and women cannot be understated. It's very necessary. Much as many of them are educated, but they lack certain skills which would enable them to engage in economic activities. I think this is very, very important. And as leaders, it's our responsibility. I don't think that's a very big thing for one to do. You don't need even a lot of money. It's a matter of using your connections and get people who can train them in various activities, and these people would be engaged. Now, when I come to housing, I don't know. I don't want to mention my sister here, but after 35 years, there is nothing to show that government has done anything in this area of housing. Even the companies, the corporations, like National Housing, which used to put up, middle income and, different classes of residential houses, has long collapsed.
And the question is, what do you intend to do different?
That's what I'm coming to. That as a member of parliament, I would like us to have planned settlements, low-income settlements in these areas. I know you're going to say that there's the land tenure, complexities, but this one can be done if the government had trust of the people. A person would be willing to surrender his land when he knows it's not going to be grabbed. But in a situation where land grabbing is the order of the day, even when you are sleeping with your title in the house, and they tell you the following day that the property is not yours, is very tricky. Nobody would trust that kind of government to engage, to surrender your land to them. So,
all right, your time is up. The last hour of the debate is usually dedicated to questions from the audience, but before that, each of the candidates will have 2 minutes for a rebuttal. We'll start from the extreme right and end with the green corner. Starting right now, your 2 minutes, sir. If there's anything that you think you need to make a rebuttal to before we go to the questions from the audience, starting right now in 2 minutes.
I will just be specific to the people of Nakawa West constituency. That what we are going for, a social contract we are seeking with them, should be determined by how best people understand the challenges the community face. If we're talking about a community of more than 10,000 people with the two latrines in the entire Banda B1, B2, and B3, it's embarrassing. If you're talking about a community that doesn't have clean water, it does not give us any go ahead. I want to give you an example. There's a report I just read 2-4 days ago. The Catholic Relief Services furnished Namboli for COVID patients 330 beddings. But the distance between Namboli and Mulago to locate those beddings, 10 went missing. It is the government that is telling us that there is a future to secure. We don't have to secure a future with the people who are not honest. This is false humility, and we must ensure that we should not have leaders of that caliber. In power, I want to see that everything we do is for the community. That's why my leadership will center on the voters. It must be transformational, it must be voter-based, and it must be authentic. By doing all this, we shall be saved from all these issues of political parties. People in political parties end up being put ropes in their necks. Don't do this, you have to do this. Don't do this, I'll be there representing my constituency. I'll not be representing either a symbol of a political party or the burdens of a political party. So I want to ensure that everything we do must be centered to solving the challenges that we have in our community. I want to look at the issue of security. I can tell you, drainage systems are very bad.
I'm afraid your 2 minutes are up. We'll move to your neighbor.
And to the people right there, you feel free to critique any of the deliberations made by any of the other candidates, and also if you have a question to them, you can as well ask it in this time.
Thank you very much. As I said initially, I would like to be part of a parliament which is going to debate objectively, irrespective of your political affiliation. Why we go to parliament is to represent the constituents, not individuals. So we have to be, I would like to be part of that parliament, and I believe people are going to vote people who are going to parliament, who are going to do precisely that. And therefore, we shall have a better parliament than the one which has been there. It is the responsibility of a member of parliament to monitor the funds. I've already said that government has been releasing money for certain projects like poultry projects and ghetto money and so on and so forth, but it never reaches the intended part of the society. So as a leader, it is your responsibility. You do not only appropriate and leave the money there. You must make sure that that money reaches your constituency. And that is the responsibility I'm going to take on head on. As I said, I'm very well qualified in financial analysis, and I think that is where, again, we've had problems before, where members of parliament simply go to pass a budget without even knowing the details in that budget. They simply go to pass a budget they don't know. And I think it's high time for us to make sure that we perform the oversight function over the executive by debating these budgets, making sure that roads which were funded the previous budget are not funded the following year. And I think this is very common. That is our responsibility as leaders, as members of parliament. Finally, is the...
Your time is out, sir. We'll move on to Mr. Joel Senyonyi.
Thank you. Check. I don't know if my mic...
You're fine.
All right. I just wanted to correct an impression that was made by candidate Margaret Nantongo Ziwa. She said that Nakawa West still has a lot of NRM support. That's actually not true. We recently had youth elections, and NUP in Nakawa West pretty much swept. When you go to majority of the parishes, when you go to Chanja, for example, majority of the zone youth committees are led by NUP. At the parish level, NUP swept 8 out of the 9 seats. When you go to Chiwatule, NUP swept majority of the village seats for youth, and we swept all the 9 at parish level. When you go to Banda, similar situation, swept majority of the village ones, and at parish level, all the 9, and several others. That said, it does not mean that there are no NRM supporters in Nakawa West. In my engagements, in my moving around door to door, I've actually met some families that are still strong, diehard supporters of the NRM. And they've told me something interesting. A number of them have told me, look, we have seen you on TV and so on. We don't belong to your party, but we are going to support you because we think you'll be a good leader for us all. And they asked me, but will you not segregate against us who don't belong to your party after we have voted for you? And I tell them, look, when I become MP for Nakawa West, I become member of parliament for everybody in Nakawa West, not only NOP members in Nakawa West. And that's important for leadership, by the way, that when you become a leader, you serve everybody, all right? And like I keep telling them, that I come as a breath of fresh air for everybody in Nakawa West to say, this young man is a true leader for us. And I tell them, look, I actually will serve you very well, even though you don't belong to my party, because I want to recruit you to my party. How do I do that? By serving you such that you get to see that this young man here doesn't have bias. I don't belong to his party, but he reaches out to me too. When I was, during the COVID times, as there was a real challenge with food, I dug into my very small pocket and I was reaching out. I remember going to Mulimira, which is a huge zone in Bokoto 1, and there was a lady who was in an NRM t-shirt. She thought I wasn't going to give her food. I called her, gave her food. She was shocked. I told her, you see, hunger does not know colors. You're in yellow, but you're hungry.
I'm afraid your time
I'll give you the little.
We'll play by the 2 minutes rule. We'll move to the Honorable Margaret Nantongo Ziwa in 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. It's amazing or, disturbing that a lot of attacks come to me. I think either under, I think people are already worried that this is the right candidate. That's why I think everybody thinks. But I have not intimidated anybody. That's why NRM is such a good party. And it has led this country for the many years, which is being talked about. The fact that all of you, young, maybe old as you, Thomas, can be on this podium together shows you what kind of party we do have and government we do have. I want to insist, Zachary or Zachariah at times makes very annoying insinuations, unfortunately. But I want to tell you that I'm a classmate to Chambade Wilberforce. We went together in A-level. We did the same course, mathematics, economics, geography, and we went to the university on the same day. So I'll tell you that I think this is now even moving to a gender perspective. Because I'm a woman, you think you'll alienate me, but I'm here in my own right. And I'll tell you I'm the best. And I will tell you that the NRM has put in place the best policies. You are talking about housing. Who introduced the BOOT? You've talked about yourself as a staff of Jomai. Is it Jomai? How did Jomai come here? Because of the NRM policies. It realized that housing is not a direct business of government. Let it be opened up to private sector. And in the process of opening it up to private sector, that's how the Jomais and many others have come into play. That's how you find that the housing stock in this country has risen from just 20% to now about 75%. It is true that many people have not yet got accommodation, but it will be done.
Play by the 2 minutes rule. Mr. Okay. Kenneth Paul Kakande, sir. 2 minutes starting right now.
I think we are building consensus that it is not about color or affiliation. It's about the problems that are facing the community today. Secondly, when things go wrong, you fix leadership. The problem is leadership. We have to fix leadership. That's why we are here. Nakawa has been a victim of land grabbing, and that is not disputed. If you go to Lugogo, all those were playing fields for young people coming from the inner city, because the whole of that area is surrounded by the inner city. Some people call it slums. I don't call it slums. I call it inner city because we grew up from those areas. 2, our schools have been victims of land grabbing. In one of those incidents, Mr. Moderator, I saved the people of Banda, of Mbuya, and of Chiswa from Uganda Railways and KCCA when they tried to grab their land. And we went to court and saved them. So the problem is that we have to fix leadership right from the top. Because when you fix leadership at the top, then there will be deliberate policy to invest in housing. There will be a deliberate policy to invest in areas which create employment, which is not the case today. There will be a deliberate policy in investing in our hospitals, which is not the case today. What we see today, and especially in Nakawa, that people come with very beautiful proposals that we are going to put here, skyscrapers, and do this, and then when they chase away the people, nothing happens. The problem is leadership. We have come to fix leadership.
Asante sana. And finally, from the Democratic Party, Mr. Tevisura Emmanuel Seramaga, in 2 minutes, starting right now.
Yes, thanks so much. Whoever asserts that color means nothing is because he's colorless. You see, that's running away from accountability. A leader must have multiple areas of accountability, and the party is one of them. So whom are you going to account to? So let me leave that area. I want to look at a more practical approach to this thing, because we have been so academic, you see, and that has been the problem of Nakawa. People have been coming every after 5 years, claiming this and that. And at the end of the day, after you have elected them, they disappear. Why? They were giving you theories. They are not part of what is going on. I've been, and people who know me know, that I've been working with the communities almost all my life. That's why when I talk about the informal sector, people ought to listen. I've been working with the informal sector. I was brought by and matured and mentored by the informal sector. So I know that people work hard and they can make it if they are supported by leaders, if they are connected well. They can grow and they can be more productive than they are today. So the issue of unemployment can be handled in a more practical manner. Because for me, I'm an urban farmer and I work with communities. I train people. I've been working there and people know we are connected. When you reach my neighborhood, you know. That's where Seumaga stays. You see chicken. You see a lot of things. And everybody around me has caught up with what I'm doing. And I'm connecting very many people in this area. So we have to be practical. But many of these people, they are theoretical, because even when you reach their gates, even their neighbors first saw them when they are participating in the party primaries. So these people, they have been coming, and that has been the illness of Nakawa West. People come during this time, and they claim very many things, and they are not able to.
I'm afraid your time is up.
And the last few minutes are going to be accorded to the audience. I know they do have questions, so we'll give 2 minutes to each camp to have questions. So you'll split that between the people who will want to ask the questions. And for our online audience, in case you have any questions, the hashtag is UGVotes 2021. In no particular order, we'll start off from the team of Mr. Kenneth Paul Kakande. If you did come along with him or do have any questions from that regard, the microphone is yours right now, and we'll give you as well 2 minutes to go through that. And while you are asking the questions, please make sure that you direct a question to a particular candidate. Please take to the microphone.
My name is Stuart Kiahura, and my question First of all, it goes to candidate Margaret. Let me also first remind you that that song of 40 years back, 50 years back, people like me, and particularly my age, it has been oversung and we are tired of it because I can hardly relate with you 40 years back, and we are 78%. Do you really have a plan for young people, especially because you live in because I stay in Naguru, what we call Upper Naguru, you live a very luxurious life, and for us, we live down this side, and you know the side I'm talking about. Do you have a plan for the youth? And to you, candidate Paul, you said or you mentioned that you fought for the people of Mbuya, Uganda Railways. How? You didn't mention the how. I need to know, what did you really do? What exactly did you do? And candidate Joel, what is your take on homosexuality?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Kindly take your questions. All right, let's move to the next camp, Mr. Joel Senyonyi's camp.
And I would also, sorry about that, I would also like to remind us that while we get to ask the questions, remember civility applies in this debate.
All right, camp Joel Senyonyi, 2 minutes starting right now. My clock is ticking.
Thank you very much. My name is...
Just a minute. I would request our team, please. I think we only paid attention, sorry about that. I think we only paid attention to the people who are down to earth. I do request that we get to sort this microphone, but please go ahead. Yeah.
You just need to speak louder because that microphone is on air. The people watching.
Our first question goes to Mr. Paul Kakande. You have lost 3 times in the elections, 2016 being your worst performed. What have you done any different to make us think that you're not state-funded to spoil opposition? Because that's what we think. Next, your symbol is the ball. If the symbol is the ball, you've been running all this time as an MP. What have you done for sports and football to make you run? Are you running on the ball for formality, or are you actually a sports person? My other question, Madam Margaret Ziwa, your son is running for MP Kampala Central, your husband for MP Eldare, and you for Woman MP. Is that ambition or greed? Then you have experience in so many fields, MP, East Africa, and everywhere. What have you done for Naguru specifically, where you've spent a lot of your life? What have you done there? The youth skilling you're talking about, even the face masks could not be produced by the girls you skilled in tailoring. What is in for us, the youth? Lastly, 10 years, you said the first ones were for reconstruction. I happened to go to Buganda Road Primary School, which now, 20 years later, is worse than it was 20 years ago. So are you now deconstructing? Because I don't see anything like constructing. Thank you.
Your time is up, sir.
And I will go to the team, NRM team, or the Margaret Nantongo Ziwa team. You'll have 2 minutes. You can use 1 minute and your colleague 1 minute as well, but feel free to utilize the 2 minutes. Just draw it closer to yourself, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be so brief. My first question goes to Mr. Isabile Zakaria.
Your name, so they can be able to relate later
Okay,
on.
my name is Mivule Ronald. My first question goes to Isabile Zakaria. You are aware that as a country, we're unable to achieve the middle income status in the anticipated time. What should we have done better as a country? Thank you. My second question goes to Mr. Kenneth Paul Kakande. You are a card-holding member of the DP. You're a card-holding member of the NUP. But again, you defied the position of the NUP and chose to stand as an independent. Are you still pursuing the interests of the opposition, or you're pursuing your personal interests? My last question goes to Mr. Joel Senyonyi. You're a resident of Nakawa West. What have you been able to do to intervene in the issues of Nakawa West?
Afraid the time is up.
If I can finish in just 1 second. I'm well aware that you're barely a year in Nakawa West, but that shouldn't exonerate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's move to Camp Wilberforce Chambade. 2 minutes starts right now. If you have a question or comment to make, take to the microphone. My clock is counting.
And if you are still prepared, okay, please take to the stand, please. Remember to tell us your name so the candidates can relate with who asked what question.
Okay, Tibikoma Amina Monda, a resident of Chiwatule. My question goes to Honorable Senyonyi Joel. At the beginning, they told the candidates to introduce everyone, but he didn't state where he stays. That is it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now to the team with Isavidia Zakaria, please. If you do have any questions, you have 2 minutes. You could decide to split it within yourselves.
Good evening. My name Tom Luimbaze, and I stay in Nakawa West. And one, to Mr. Isabel Zakaria, you claim you're a teacher, and you've not talked about any of the schools around in the community. I went to Kalinabi Primary School. By then, it was a government school, but the state it's in, it's unbearable. Secondly, my question goes to Honorable Margaret. You talk of water for 34 years in Kampala. Really, is that valuable for 34 years and talk of water roads in Kampala? Honestly, by now, Kampala could be something that everybody around the world look at and admire. And then to Honorable Joel, I would like to ask, what is the new government having for us via the hospitals, because they're in a worse state? Thank you.
Finally, have Team Tebisuro Emmanuel Seromaga. 2 minutes on the podium starts right now.
All right.
Thank you so much. I'm by the names of Nyamata Alson Kahunde, Old Kila Road Zone, Bokoto 1. Our aspiring candidates, this question goes to Joel Senyonyi. Please, you want to become our MP in Nakawa West. What are you planning for us via security? Because in the first instance, we have not yet elected you. Already we are insecure. Like me, my zone is near Nope. I wasn't happy. We go to work, we leave our children at home. How can our children who are at home, they don't vote, they are not politicians, all of a sudden you find tear gas in your kitchen? If that can come now, what if you elected? Won't it be worse? Thank you.
Thank you, all entitled to your opinion and questions, and thank you very much for those who have given in.
For a second, I thought Joel had joined police.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we take on the answering of the questions, and for the first few minutes, we'll use 3 to answer those that we can be able to answer in those few minutes, and then we'll get some additional time if time allows. We'll start off from the extreme of Mr. Isavide Zakaria.
Thank you so much. I'll go straight to Mr. Mvule. Thank you for that beautiful question. What should have been done to achieve middle income status? Number 1, being realistic with where we are. That was the first step, that we should not lie to ourselves of the state of the economy of Uganda. A full minister, excuse me, waking up tell us by the end of the year, 2020, every Ugandan will be earning 3.7 million. It was a lie based on false humility. And it's the very thing I am fighting for, that we need leaders who are with integrity and genuine. But what should we, even if they lied to us, there are better ways to do it and perform beyond what we have performed. Number 1, we would need to increase on our economic activities. And that's why I was telling you we need to address the issue of what causes economic development. This is when we have to go for agriculture, equip it well, do the best in storage, look for the best markets, do value addition, so that the biggest population of this world that requires food, that requires agricultural products, can look at Uganda as a food basket, and this will take us to a state that the mini society will be. 2, we need to reduce on government uncontrolled appetite to spend. Barely 4 months into the new financial year, actually 3, you hear in Parliament, we need a supplementary budget of 3 trillion for State House. For heaven's sake, who stays in State House to spend all that money? 3 trillion. And Parliament is comfortable, and this goes like that. That money would done us better if we had invested it in activities that would help people to get jobs and impact on their livelihoods so that their earnings can be better. We don't want to be hiding beyond the figures. Then the last one, on that aspect, is to ensure that everything that we do it with a genuine spirit. All activities, somebody mentioned here, about the initiatives of Emyoga, what, when you go to the communities, they're telling us, how do we access this money? But if the RDC or Chairman C1 has not approved you to get that money, I can tell you there is a hassle in Nakawa, in Kawempe there, Nakawa and the KCCA. I've taken 4 groups. It's until I had to show them that I'm a leader. That's when they had to respond. Ugandans are all Ugandans, irrespective of their colors. Okay? I want to look at...
Make sure you manage your 3 minutes very well, and I'm afraid your time is up, sir. I don't have a lot more time to spare. We'll move to Mr. Chambade. Just for you, Mildred and I don't have a genuinometer, so we're not able to determine how genuine or not genuine your statements are, but we respect you. Mr. Chambade, 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you very much. I don't remember to have received any question, but I would like just to make a comment. In respect to, I think what Mr. Joel raised about experience. I think experience should not be disregarded. It's important. We are going for work of a very responsible, person. That's why the citizens must really choose the best of those who are presenting themselves. So the issue of experience, you will never sweep it under the carpet. It is there. It's necessary. This is a high responsibility.
Look, is there a school of experience?
Pardon?
Is there a school of experience for Parliament?
It's a school of...
Is there a school of experience?
Is there a school of experience?
You gain it through the service. There's no school that teaches it.
And there is always a first time.
Yeah, but yes, there are levels also where you should go. There are levels where you should go and serve at that particular time when you have that level of experience. Okay? That's what I can say.
Thank you. To you, Mr. Joel Senyonyi, I'll give you 5 minutes because you seem to have more questions. I'll give the 5 minutes as well to Margaret Nantongo-Ziwa. Starting now, your 5 minutes, Joel.
Stuart asked for my take on homosexuality. So for the record, I'm a happily married man to one wife all the time. Her name is Fabrice Nakawa Senyonyi. You actually came with her. My dear, kindly stand and wave to these good people. That's my lovely wife.
And you confirm she's a woman?
She's a woman. Okay. Without a doubt. Ronald asked for what I've been able to do over the time.
But you see, Joel, the question was not whether you're married or not married. The question is, what is your stand on homosexuality as a principle?
Yeah, anybody who is sharp enough can tell.
I'm afraid I'm not that sharp, so...
you should become. You should become. So that suffices as an answer to anybody who has eyes and who has ears. I'll go to Ronald's question very quickly. He asked about what I've been able to do over time. I believe a great deal in sports. I believe a great deal in talent. Our young people are extremely talented. We should give them opportunity. We should give them a stepping stone to explore their talents, to exploit them, and make very good use of them, you know. So what I've been able to do in my very small way, I keep telling people I don't have so much, but the little I have, I'm able to. And so I've supported sports in a number of parishes, Chiwatule, Chanja, Naguru, Mulimira, a couple of young people that have groups and they're involved in sports. And I do the little I can. Sometimes it's buying balls. Sometimes I have a tournament, and so you help where you can. There's a time I went to Chiwatule. There's a field in Chiwatule that was in very poor shape. So the young people told me, Honorable, you see this pitch is very bad. Please help us and bring tippers of soil so that we level it. I said, okay, so we're now going to do this together. I asked them, how many tippers of soil can you get? So they discussed among themselves, said, Honorable, we are going to collect 2 tippers amongst ourselves. I said, very well. That is Kwebe. So I said, now I'm also going to bring the number of tippers that I was able to bring. And the pitch was leveled. It's not perfect, but at least some work was done. And it's important for leaders to be able to avail these opportunities to young people. Let's not celebrate with them after they have won gold medals, Olympics. Now come for dinners. Where were you when they were struggling? Many pitches have been grabbed. Their land, land has been grabbed. When you see the ShopRite area, which is within Nakawa, there are about 5 pitches. 4 of them have been grabbed. The young people don't have access to them. I think we as leaders need to be able to do these things. For the women, I've reached out to some women groups with the little that I do have. When you go to Naguru, there's women that saw things and so on. When you go to Chanja, it's the same thing. When you go to Mulimira. And whenever I see women who are trying to eke out a living, I see my mother who struggled to raise me. So I've been able to support them with the little as a leader. You know, it's not the mandate of an MP, by the way, to dig into your pocket and help people. But as a leader, as a human being, as a leader, you want to ameliorate your people with the little that you have. Margaret asked for where I stay. I stay in Bukoto 2 Parish, Zone Butukira, within the precincts of Chisasi. Luyimbazi asked, what's your plan? What's your government plan for hospitals, healthcare? I'll tell you, our current government has not paid attention to healthcare. That's why when they are sick, they fly out of the country and use your taxpayer money for their treatment. In 2016-2017, that financial year, over 400 billion shillings was spent on government officials accessing treatment elsewhere. I said, wait a minute, how about the taxpayer? Why are they not benefiting from that money? Use the 400 billion shillings to build hospitals, to pay doctors better so they can stay around, to put medicine in hospitals, for heaven's sake. Why isn't the taxpayer benefiting? All right, lastly, I see my time is running out very quickly. Nyamata was asking for a plan of security. She was saying there's tear gas all over in her neighborhood, her children are suffering. Won't it be worse when I'm elected MP? I found that to be very preposterous. Nyamata, I'm walking on crutches right now because I was brutalized by the military. All right? It's even taking much longer to heal because the doctor told me, stay home for 2 weeks, and I said, but now these campaigns are door to door. So I am a victim, Nyamata. I don't know where she is. I want to look at her as I say these things. All right, there you are. I am a victim, just like you are a victim. So the real issue we should be talking about here is police brutality. Why is the state attacking the people it should be protecting? So your children are suffering, just like I am suffering. Everybody is suffering because of this police brutality. So we need to keep raising the voices and say, police, the state, why are you brutal towards the citizens? I would like to hear that from you, Nyamata, because I don't own tear gas. I don't have an arsenal of guns and tear gas at my house. Police does, and they misuse those things, you know. They use them to brutalize all of us, not just you, Nyamata. And it's important, by the way, that it comes out from people who are not partisan. Because sometimes they'll say, for you, sending you on crutches, good for you, let them beat you because you're opposing Mr. Museveni. But Nyamata has told you, you know, she doesn't care about politics, but she's suffering. So the more reason why the Nyamatas of this world should raise their voices and say, stop police brutality. Thank you.
Thank you very much to you, Honorable Margaret Ziwa.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank all the members who have put these beautiful questions. But I want to alert or to request all Ugandans, let's get our history. Let's know our history if we actually love our country. Some of these facts cannot be swept under the carpet. We know in 1966, we had the worst episode which rode our country into a negative drive. We cannot forget that. And we know the events which happened. We know for sure 1971, there was yet another very unfortunate situation. We've gone through all this. Some of you who are young, today you've had opportunity.
Would you want to mention the one of 86 also?
Beg your pardon?
Would you want to make reference to the one of 86 as well?
I beg your pardon, but let me tell you for sure,
Please answer your question. Please use your time. Proceed. Respond to the questions.
You give me a few more minutes.
Please go right ahead.
I just wanted to plead with all of us, anybody who really want to engage in intelligent debate, you must research. And you cannot erase some of the facts which happened in this country. And because of that, we are where we are. When we are discussing at the level of the East African community, each country comes in with its scenario. When Rwanda talks about genocide, you can't erase that. When in Uganda we talk about 30 lost years, you can't actually, you can't say it didn't exist. So find out what exactly happened in the 30 years. You can't fly when in reality you have no wings. So I just want to, I think this was who? Somebody who said, you didn't do it in 40 years, what do you want now to do? Let's face facts. Uganda had turmoil. We have gone through levels of insecurity, the corn. I don't want to list it, but you know for sure where I've been. And now we are just in the semblance of getting to our heels to get set. And this is why we say, give NRM an opportunity to be able to take you through yet the next level of development. Somebody, again, I think it was my friend who was asking, you live in Naguru, Upper Naguru, what have you done for us? You go to St. Jude. I have 48 of my own children. When I say my own children, you don't know where I pick them from, and I'm the one who offers them education. I have 60 women groups whom I've been able to, some of the ones Honorable Senyonyi is talking about, or whoever is talking about, are Margaret's was groups. Margaret's was groups. Ask anybody of them. So I want to say, some of the youth, I have those other unique youths. When I talk about them, I don't want to mention names. Whom I feed. When I talk about feeding, I mean it. Whom I clothe. So I may live in Upper Naguru, but I am part and parcel of the greater Naguru. Naguru go down, I know every village, Bank Village, Naguru 3, Naguru 2, Naguru 1, Remand 1, Katare 2, Kasenke 1, Kasenke 2, Kasenke 3, Kasenke 4, Kasenke 5, Buyinja. I've been part and parcel of Naguru for the last 27 years. And I can tell you I have graduates. I have those I've taken to Chambogo. I have those I've taken to Shimoni, TTC, and so on and so forth. So don't ask me what I've done for Naguru, because I am one of the, not proprietors, but I'm one of the listed providers for Naguru Reception Center. So I'll not go, and I'm one of the, I should say, remand home. When we talk about remand home, visit it. And I'll tell you what happens there. So I'll not go in the details. I have the aged, so many of them. Let me end there. Because when I talk about it, you'll say, she's blowing her own trumpet. But there I am. That is Margaret Zua in Naguru and of Naguru. Somebody said, I think, son, husband, yourself. We are not being selfish. Track me. I've been, some of us at times we say we've offered ourselves to make a livelihood of many other people in this country. I'm a banker, and I went to school, and I did economics, and I got an upper, and I was recruited as a banking officer and an accountant in Uganda Commercial Bank. And in 1994, 95.
As you wind up, your time is out. But I'll give you just a few seconds to wind up that.
Kindly conclude your thoughts.
Thank you. I opted to leave my job, and I said, let me go and serve. I was elected. I want to thank Mukulu Chambade for saying experience is acquired. I did not start as MP. I was there when Special Zakazbo was elected, but I didn't stand because I needed more time to acquire the experience which is required. Let me end on two issues. Somebody asked, water for 34 years. Oh, no, son, let me tell you, if my son is capable of representing the people of Kampala Central, I think he has an opportunity and he can actually represent them. Let him do so. Many others will know that that person can either represent them or not represent them. When I stand in Nakawa, look at me as Margaret Nantongo Ziwa, who can actually offer what I would call good services for our people.
Thank
the
you
water
very
for
much.
34 years, give me 1 minute, and I do the water for 34 years.
Our time is really first spent on air, and we would like to move to the next.
We don't want to be accused of Margaret Nantongoring on the show. Let's move to Mr.
You would
Kenneth
have appreciated that I got so many questions, because I'm the best candidate.
The people of Nakawa will decide. Mr. Kenneth Paul Kakande, your 3 minutes starting right now.
The first question, what did you do for the people of Mbuya, Banda, and Chiswa? That you are not telling us. As a lawyer, I went to court and secured an order when they were under threat from KCCA and URA at no cost as a gesture of giving back to society, because that's where I grew up, that's where I was born, and my mother was working in the Nakawa market. You've lost 3 times. Nakawa West is a new...
Just for clarity,
yes.
Is that a preliminary order? What, when you talk about an order, what order exactly did you obtain from court?
It was a temporary injunction.
Okay. So the case is still on their neck then?
Yeah, there's no, but the Parliament and KCCA have come up together and they've said it was wrong to evict these people and they are going to compensate them 38 billion. And I have no share of that money. I wish them well.
Go ahead.
You account for that interruption. The second question was, you've lost 3 times in elections in Nakawa West. Nakawa West is a new constituency. I did not lose in Nakawa West. But for the record, these parishes that have been cut out of Nakawa Division constituency, I was doing well, and I'm confident that I'm going to win this time. The ball, is it a formality or you believe in sports? One, the ball is a sign of unity, because a ball brings together people of all kinds. I use it as a sign of unity, but also secondly, I support sports. 2, Nakawa used to be a hub of sportsmen, boxers, footballers, when you used to have those playing fields in Ilgogo and everywhere. I want to rekindle that spirit of making Nakawa great again. The fourth question was, you were holding a DP card and a NOOP card. Are you pursuing a party agenda or your personal agenda? I'm pursuing the agenda of the people of Nakawa, whom I want to represent.
By the way, for the record, do you still have the 2 cards for DP and NUP?
Sorry?
For the record, do you have both the DP and NUP membership cards, like you stated?
Souvenir, yes. As a souvenir.
Why not hand them over, since you don't belong to the parties anymore?
Sorry?
Why not hand them over, since you don't belong to the parties
It's
anymore?
not a requirement.
Okay.
Nobody has asked me for the card. I'm waiting.
All right, conclude your thoughts, sir.
Yes. Lastly, I believe that after all is said and done, what we need to do is to find solutions for the people of Nakawa. And I believe I'm the best suited to give solutions for the people of Nakawa. I am a uniter. I am not a divider.
Thank you, Mr. Kenneth Paul Kakande. We'll go to Mr. Emmanuel Serumaga from the green corner. Your 3 minutes starts right now.
Yes, I thank you so much. What the people of Nakawa West need today is a practical leader. We have fallen victim to political sojourners for a long time, political tourists. You see, someone belongs to 3 parties in 3 months, and he wants to lead Nakawa West. That's what we have been suffering, people of Nakawa West. I am your son. Nakawa West is ingrained in me. If you talk about Nakawa West, you have to look at Emmanuel Serumaga Tebisul. Nothing better can come that way. And in every 5 years, we have an opportunity to change the situation in Nakawa West. Let us use our conscience. Let all conscience and wisdom obtain this time, that we change Nakawa West. We create a chain. We create connection. We create growth and development, because we have been working in these things. Most of the things people claim here, they are reading in books, they are reading in novels, but I've been doing them. We have been working together. So you need a leader who has been working with you, not someone who has come to win an election and disappear, like we have been suffering. I request for your support. I request for your advice. I request for your vote. I request that we create that team that has been lacking in this constituency, that we change and we are redeemed and we go back to the map of this country as people who have leaders, people who can work together. I will work with the councillors. I will work with the lowest person, because I've been working with them already. Not these people who have been reading about us in books, and today they have come to stand in Nakawa West. I call for your support. I thank you so much for listening to us. I thank you so much for supporting me and my team. I thank you so much for everything that you have offered me. I am Emmanuel Somaga Tebisula, your son.
All right, thank you very much.
Maybe before you get away, which books have they read about you from? For people who want to know the titles.
Please come again.
You said there are people who have read about you in books. I just wanted to get the title for my reading purposes. The book they have read about you from.
No, I said Nakawa West is ingrained in me. I am Nakawa West. If people to come even to this show, they first read books. What am I going to talk about Nakawa West? Because they are strangers in this area. They are strangers in Nakawa West. So they have to read about me. You can't read about Nakawa West and you can't read about Emmanuel Somaga Tebisura, because I'm one and the same.
All right, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just a few minutes to spare, and I'll give each one of you 45 minutes. When you
45 seconds.
Seconds, I beg your pardon. When you see your colleagues, especially those right here, we won't talk about those who are not here, what do you see in them and what would you like to tell them? I'll start off with you, Zakaria, in 45 seconds.
Thank you. First of all, I thank them for being able to raise up the occasion and offer leadership in this constituency. If I win this race, Paul Kakande will lead the legal team. Mama Ziwa will handle the elderly. Jore Senyonyi will be in charge of the youth. Muzei here, economics will be done. Then my friend with the Nkumbi, the whole DP, will go into agriculture. My symbol is a kettle. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And to you, Mr. Wilberforce Chambade, you have 45 seconds now.
First of all, I wish to thank you so much for this opportunity that you have provided us. And I want to acknowledge the fact that we had a good debate, and I congratulate my colleagues. For the people of Nakawa, here is what I have for you. It's
the question was, what do you see in your colleagues and what do you have to say to them?
Chief, don't set your own question.
Pardon?
Don't set your... we request that you answer the question that was put to you, sir.
Yeah, what I'm saying
when
is
you
that
see your colleagues, what do you see in them and what would you like to say to them?
Yeah, that's why I said I thank them for the debate. It was a good debate.
That is all.
That's all I can say.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next candidate, who is Mr. Joel Senyonyi.
The question was, what do I see among my colleagues and what would I like to tell them? Well, for starters, I see potential. I never underestimate any of my competitors. Even those who are looked at, because you said there's 14, so I'm sure there are others you're thinking, these ones are non-entities. I never despise any one of them. I see potential in each one of them. By the time somebody gets nominated, there must be some potential therein. What would I like to tell them? I'd like to request for their support. I would like to request for their vote. And I would like to give them assurance that as MP for Nakawa West, I will serve them too. I will serve them too. They will be my constituents, and it's incumbent upon me to make sure that I reach out to each one of them. But also, I'll reach out to them for advice. You know, the experience that Muzei Chambade and Mama Nantongozi were talking about, I'll benefit from it without a doubt. They'll be giving me their advice as MP for Nakawa West. Thank you.
Honorable Margaret Nantongoziwa, your 45 seconds starts
I
now.
want to thank the panel, and I want to thank my colleagues who have appeared today and for the great ideas. But I want to remind them that this is a very testing time. This is a new constituency. We must be upbeat on it. I just want to tell you that Margaret Nantongoziwa will serve them, because I know and I've been able to show that I can actually serve both the people of Nakawa and my colleagues I'm sitting with.
Thank you.
And may the best woman win, Margaret Natongo Ziwa.
Mr. Kenneth Paul
There's only
Kakande.
one.
For being civil. We have exhibited a lot of civility in our discussion, and that is commendable. But I also want to remind them that we are going to Parliament to make laws. And if you have an opportunity to give someone who's a specialist in laws, don't lose that chance. Let's use it. I know you are all able, but I can do better. And I will serve you all, I will consult you all. I can be a better maker of laws. Thank you very much.
And finally to you, Mr. Emmanuel Serumaga, as we wind up.
I thank you all. First, I thank NBS. Please keep it up. I thank my constituents, whoever is watching us, viewing us. I thank everybody, my colleagues. And I know you're supporting me inwardly. You can't declare it now, but let me make it public that I really appreciate your support for me and everybody else's support for me. Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much who've been part of the audience, and lady and gentlemen who've been part of this discussion. Thank you so much. UG Votes 2021 debate comes your way every Sunday 3 to 6 p.m. and we get to discuss the various candidates and issues they do have for their constituencies. It's been a pleasure having you. Let's continue with the discussion on the hashtag UG Votes 2021. I am Mildred Tuhaise.